Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to SCS Season 4. This is Week 5, Playday number 2. My name is CDAPS, and I'm on the desk for the first time. We've got a couple of casters, one new and one old. We got Sticula on my left and Jenna on my right. How are you two doing today?
Hello. I'm doing great.
Yeah, so, out of all the games that we could have had coming through, we've got two of the top 4 teams coming out. We've got InControl Nation fresh off their win in ESA, going up against Redux Rising, a team that has had success in a lot of other leagues and just had a little bit of a roster change coming up. How do you guys think this one's going to turn out?
It's hard to say without having seen the changes made, because Redux Rising, I feel like, are kind of a volatile roster. They're almost like a roller coaster. They'll go up really high, they will just absolutely blast past your expectations, and then maybe on another day, things don't go to plan. And maybe Helio is the difference. Maybe he can come in, introduce a little bit more structure, and allow them to play more consistency. For me, that would be my hope.
Yeah, and Jenna, you're a little bit new here, so I'm not going to fully toss you underneath the boat. So it's like, oh yes, you need to know every single last little bit of thing about every single player in our league. I'm not going to light the fire underneath you. But do you have any sort of analysis on the little bit of map bans that we see at the bottom of our screen so far?
Well, so far we obviously see Villa, Cafe, Coastline, Theme Park being eliminated. I don't know. I don't really. It's hard to determine what's gonna happen tonight, because of course I don't know these two teams. I'm completely new with them, so I don't know what maps they prefer. I don't know what maps they think they're gonna be good on. But so far we see that INC has eliminated Villa and Coastline, in that I believe Redux, right, has eliminated Cafe and Theme. Now, I don't know. Coastline to me seems like a map specifically based on a lot of utility usage. And I mean, since in the new season how we're going to be moving towards intel from utility, it might be that they are trying to move away from that. I don't know.
Yeah, typically Coastline's one of those great equalizers where everybody is really just as good of it as your guns do come through. But stick. Consulate's still on the board. Sure, we don't get the Coastline that we love to see, but
No.
Yeah, hopefully we get Consulate or something else. What maps do you think we're going to end up going to today?
Well, I think you still got a lot of structure in Clubhouse remaining. Seeing Club as well as Cons, I think, would be my ideal 2 picks here. One thing to note, Villa immediately removed from INC. In my opinion, I think this is them seeing that they played it yesterday in ESA. There's recent film, and that gives Redux a great opportunity to look in the map and go for a counter strat. So I think that's why it's the first ban. Even though they won it versus Amarok, it was a 7-5. They don't want to give that opportunity for Redux to come in here and get that upper hand immediately and think through what strats are on the map. It also could be them just not feeling fully confident in the map. Maybe they let it through in ESA versus Amarok, who maybe they weren't, fully dependent on being strong on the map. For the rest of what we see, Redux remove Cafe and Theme. And I think Theme being removed here definitely shows the fact that they're not fully set in their strats yet. Obviously, picking up Helio, you need to teach him all of their doctrine, what they like to do as far as strategies, and so they're gonna kind of put that, towards the back burner as far as teaching.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to a certain extent, that might be a bit of a target ban as well, because Inc. is a very, very, very strong theme park team. They even made the gods of T3 themselves in the form of PogChamps Bleed. It was a very close game. They still lost. But as we transition onto the rosters, Jenna, do you want to go ahead and read off who's playing for Inc.?
All right, I'm gonna try my best not to butcher these names. I went over them about a good 10 minutes before. I've been trying them out for size, but we got Kojin, we have Yusuke, Bone, Navozo, and Exile on the roster tonight for InControl.
Yeah, I couldn't have said the names better myself. I'm actually really proud that you said Yusuke properly, because a lot of people butcher that and he gets very, very upset. But yeah,
with that.
Looking at the numbers, is there anybody you're looking at to be the big one to watch on this Inc. side?
Well, once again, I was speaking about 10 minutes before the game to everybody asking, who's the big player to look out for. And so far, everybody, I mean, Bone. Bone, I guess, is the biggest player to look out for. Right now, he has about a 1.26 average, which, of course, above 1.0 is above average. So saying that, I'm going to guess that, he's going to be a really great player for, monumental plays throughout the game. I'm going to say great kills, he's going to put himself in a good advantageous spot. And I mean, you obviously know he's a Zofia player and a Jaeger player, so that already speaks a lot about what he's going to do this game.
Yeah, and if we go and transition over to the other roster, I'll throw it to you, Reese. You can talk about the Redux Rising boys.
Well, you've got Burnt Turkey. Everybody knows his name, and he is really just one of those big personalities that are really larger than life in T3, and for good reason. Burnt Turkey, maybe he's not had the best performance so far inside of SCS. There's still an opportunity to make a comeback, though. I know you mentioned he's been very impactful inside of RSA, and considering the level of competition over there, I think he's still got a lot of gas left in the tank. You've got Mouse and Stoll as well, that core duo from way back on Infamy, who transitioned over here now. The fresh face of Helio, we mentioned talking about the consistency, hoping that he can show up here and act as a rock. And then you've got Miracle, the support, the IGL, the captain, the big man who leads from the front.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to a certain extent, I've said it many times, Burnt Turkey is a world eater. And you finally have a roster built around him with the ex-Infamy guys that are finally starting to merge. Sure, they had a little bit of issues with Tricks, but now Helio's here. Well, hopefully he will merge with the team and provide bigger and better things for an overall roster. But only time will tell on that front. But we already touched briefly on predictions a little bit. If we can switch on over to those, as we're still trying to kill some time. Actually, no, let's just stay on the standings right now, because if you notice, both of these teams are up on the top half. So, Jenna, if you want to break down a little bit of what and how impactful this matchup can be.
Well, we know, obviously, that these teams are on the top half. That being true, this should be a barn burner. I mean, statistically speaking, I'm going to say this should be a barn burner because Redux Rising on the top, InControl Nation third. Now, InControl Nation, I've been told they have won 1-7, lost 1. You can see that on the standings. And they've lost 1 map. Now, as well as that, Redux Rising has won 8. They haven't played for a few weeks as well. So, I don't know. I mean, looking at statistic-wise, I don't know if that says really how much these teams can accomplish and how much it's going to speak for the actual game itself.
Yeah, exactly. It's just going to be such an important game coming up. But now we've got the predictions, everybody's favorite part. I'm all in on Inc. coming in on this game. We got a couple of other people like our wonderful producer Galaxis saying it's going to be Redux Rising. But Stick, do you just want to break down the rest of these predictions going forward?
Yeah, and so it looks like INC are kind of the fan favorites. One thing that I wanted to talk about as far as the standings, if you looked at it long enough, you'll realize that Redux have only got 4 maps played, and that is because they've had a significant amount of forfeits, which does, in some respects, inflate their position on the standings, and I wonder if maybe that's a contributor here to why INC have been largely predicted. I think they've shown to be pretty consistent. They've only dropped 1 of the 8 maps played. So, I mean, if you're asking for something there, we've got the rest of the predictions. But to finish my thought, INC, they've simply got more substance. We've seen more from them inside of SCS, and maybe, yeah, there's been a couple longer games as well as that unfortunate loss that they took, but I still think there's just more that you can look at, you can draw from, and moving into this, the sub player for Redux does kind of introduce an element of instability.
Yeah, it's either going to be an element of instability, or it's going to be the X factor that could really try to separate themselves and be something that Inc. necessarily hasn't really accounted for, because maybe Helios comes in on a complete burner and just destroys everybody, and that was not something you were prepping, not something that you were thinking about. Or what's more likely is there might be some sort of discourse across the rest of the roster where they haven't quite felt comfortable enough. We might see some growing pains going through. But if we look at just the overall bracket right here, we can see a whole lot of stats coming up on your screen. Main one I'm looking right here is somebody named Goria, that we all know and love from the Emergence roster, at plus 65 right now. If you wanted to just put that into any perspective, it's the fact that he is positive on his kills more than a lot of people have kills in the entire season of SCS, mainly Hazmat. I love Hazmat, but he's not doing too great. I'm always gonna send shots at him because he used to be my water boy. But is there any other people, Jenna, that you might be looking on this screen that is really popping out in your eyes?
Well, the teams I'm looking at right now, we see Hostile Actions, Synthetic, and Lycus Empire. I don't know. I mean, I obviously see the big statistics, 1.28, 1.20. That's the ratio, obviously. I mean, that's big for KD and all, but personally, I like to look at cost. I believe that is something around kills, objectives, rival trades. It's essentially your value in the rounds in the game, and obviously the higher it gets closer to 1.0, the more important you can be to the team. And I mean, the biggest player that we see right now is, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm seeing Cal from Lycus Empire.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Cal.
I honestly, I think the KOST is a huge mile marker for Lycus. They've been incredibly consistent, and it's not that they've got, one of those two players we talked about, Helio being a rock. Everyone acts as the rock. You can expect them to perform on a given game day, and there are really any sleepers on that team. I think that's a big contributor to why they've had such a strong performance. Bringing in Braxton as that kind of leadership figure, obviously with his T2 experience, that tends to kind of shed light on the rest of the team as far as their performance mid-match, when you can call everyone back and say, things might be going wrong, but here's how we're going to change it. And then you've as well got Hourly and Lethal Gamage coming in, two players who are, as Connor would probably call them, namers.
Yeah, they've got a little bit of weight behind their name. Lethal, a really great player coming out. They got a good staff as well. Big shout outs to Cherish on the analyst side here. But there's also going to be a little bit of something flashing on your screen, mainly the gleam on that logo of First Attempt. They will be playing in our second game today, if I do believe. So we want to transition over on that side. Maybe a little bit of prediction coming out. I don't think you did any predictions this week, Jenna, because you're just coming on. I'm just going to throw you right in. Who do you think is going to win between Redux, Rising, and Ink?
Ooh, that's going to be an interesting one. I'm going to go with the popular one. I'm going to say Ink. Because from what I've been hearing, it seems like Redux is more of a volatile team than anything. I mean, particularly, he really got to the heart of it, saying that, especially with the new player that they're adding in, it's a big unknown. And on top of that, as is, they are already an unknown team. I mean, they have been statistically, yeah, they've been winning a lot, but it's big players that haven't been, showing up regardless of strategy.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's just one of those things that you don't know what's going to happen, so let's go with the safe bet that is Ink. I don't know if we fully have all of the map bans in yet. We were waiting on just a little bit more coming through. I guess the teams are really dragging their feet, but no, we have them in. We've got Oregon and Clubhouse. So I see the frown on your face, Dick. You're upset we're not going to the Ivory Coast. We're not going to the French embassy that we know and love as consulate. But we've got your home state coming out. We've got Oregon.
We do. We've got Oregon, and Oregon's a fun map. Maybe it's a bit more defender-sided than you like, but ultimately I think it's a big test. Oregon is a map that takes a lot of learning. You got to really get accustomed to it. I think the same can be said for Clubhouse. So to see Redux brought to both of these, they're going to have a really good opportunity here to build some chemistry. Maybe that's what you would wanted to have done in scrims, but even more so now as you build the experience back on game day.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've actually gotten to cast Oregon, Jenna. If I know you took a little bit of a break coming out on the casting side. So do you have anything you're particularly looking forward to on this first map that's coming up?
Yeah, you'd be correct. I have not casted Oregon yet. I'm really excited to be casting Oregon as a map, knowing that they did a lot with the basement rework. They did a lot with even just the top floor rework. I'm excited to see how different each team is going to play based on what new map rework. I mean, relatively map reworks we're gonna see.
Yeah, we can say relative. It's been here for what, like 2, 3 months, which seems like 50
Has
million
it been
years in
that
the
long?
current
Right?
time that we have.
Ugh. Man, you're really dating us here now with it's been I don't know, it just feels like it comes in, you know, it's people are getting used to it, and I think being that it's the newest map, you never really get fully adjusted to it. Theme Park was like the, I don't know, the older brother of the two new maps in that it's, you know, it's been in for, you know, a little bit less than some of the core maps originally, but it doesn't get a whole lot of time to play. We never get to see Theme Park. Teams do not like playing it. You mentioned that INC are good on it. That doesn't always mean that they're going to pull it out. Maybe they're saving it for playoffs. They want to bring it in then, rather than here now for the regular season, especially considering they're already in a good spot. You don't really need to risk bringing out a map that you're hiding if that is the case. And from when I was talking to Navoso, he did not want to say anything. He was keeping it all under lock and key. They are going to be, you know, keeping those state secrets really behind
Strats.
closed doors.
Yeah, it's hard to squeeze information out of Navoso. Exile, Michael, you have a little bit better of an option to do that. You add him on Twitter and he will respond. He'll resend out from underneath the rock and pop up and be like, "That was a banger. That was a banging tweet." But going forward, we also have Clubhouse. That will be the map choice for InControl. A little bit more of a standard map. That's going to be something you're a bit more comfortable with, Jenna. Anything in particular you're looking forward to on that map?
Um, well, yeah, it is a little bit more of a standard map. I'm gonna say that. Clubhouse is. I mean, the both of these maps have actually been reworked. Clubhouse, very, very interesting map. It's based a lot around, at least for me, it's based a lot around for strategy, than more than anything else. I like to say that it is defense-sided, but looking at statistics. But I mean, you never know with these two teams. We know Redux is the unknown or the volatile, the more aggressive team, so they could still get behind a lot of plays on Clubhouse. But let's actually go into the game, yeah?
Yeah, we're going to be heading into Oregon. Obviously, the very first map, INC on the defense. They get to pick for the very first ban. Just a final thought back on Clubhouse. I feel like there's a lot of kind of a min-maxing element on Club. You need to really have your strats nailed down. Whereas, moreover, on Oregon, it's kind of learning the theory. You need to know which attack is the best, and, you know, how you go about that isn't the most important, just as long as you achieve those many steps in the checklist. We'll have Thatcher coming out as the very first ban. No stranger, really, to Oregon. Largely, he's kind of, I use this analogy a lot, but he's kind of like the easy button. You just get to attack a lot easier. You're not worried about clearing things like Electro Claw. Maverick also contributes in some respects to that, so maybe this will be that hunkered down style of really defensive Oregon that we were expecting.
Right, so let's move on to the defense bans. We're going to see Redux pulling out the first defensive ban now. And it's going to be Kaid. Yeah, honestly, very logical ban, right? Kaid is great for hatches. Oregon has hatches. On top of that, I mean, he's basically, again, one of your most straightforward, hard breaching counter operators. You want to get rid of him. He is a big staple in any good defense. And getting rid of him, one step closer for an easier attack, especially because they're going to be on attack. Now, Lamai, again, he's big. He goes in unison with Jaeger, and he's great for taking out those, bits of utility. That's going to be huge for hindering the attack. Now moving into this for round one.
I think we got a pretty even footing here as far as the operator bans. You remove the Thatcher and the Maverick, so hard breaching is maybe a bit more of a warning sign, something coming up on the HUD for the attackers, but you take out the Cade, no more Electro Claws, and as well you remove the Wamai. I feel like if you're looking at Oregon, this is like the most default ban selection. Wamai is so frustrating to deal with. Not a lot of teams, especially down here in T3, are well equipped enough to deal with a full proper defensive setup, wasting as much time as possible. We won't have that question of the full defender utility waste or attacker utility waste here, at least for the very first round, because we're going to be heading up to the top floor. More of a question of what map control you can take and how many defenders you manage to pin down on the road there.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that getting defenders individually pinned down, like you were saying, is going to be huge for this, especially those who may be working a little bit off-site. Again, I don't know a lot about Oregon and the way that casting works with it. I'm a little bit newer to this, so you are going to have to help me out during this process. But with this site specifically, I see a lot of repel opportunities. I see a lot of outside opportunities to get a bit of a better look into the objective, and I'm going to be looking forward to that. I mean, you obviously see that the attack has chosen great operators in order to take advantage of those reinforcements. You see Ace, you see Kali, and you see Habana. So that's 3 operators that are huge for hard breaching. So, I mean, we're going to have to see what opportunities they can make for themselves.
INC are going for a full tower hold. Not only have they got somebody stationed down here on the stairs, I believe that's the Malusi, but also you've got Jaeger waiting all the way up inside of T3. He is not giving that up without a fight, and it seems like Mouse and Stoll, that INF duo that I mentioned, they're going to be charged and tasked with trying to do it. The problem is, it's so difficult to clear that player out of the corner. Bowen will manage to pick up the first frag. He guns down Stoll. A lot of utility to be losing here without even approaching the objective. Another flashbang tossed out. It'll get captured by the ADS, and still Redux having a very difficult time moving on the front to push in and clear out this tower player. Kojin picks up another frag. Now INC up massively in the man advantage. This is the Redux. They are going to forfeit control of trying to push T3 entirely, instead refocusing to try and come in from the trophy room.
Most definitely. I think that's a great idea on their part to kind of reevaluate their decision on what part of the objective, what even part of the map to move in on. You see, they were a little bit confused at the top part at T3. They got bested, most definitely, in their futile attempt, or futile, whatever you want to call it, futile attempt to take over T3. They most definitely lost good players, Burnt Turkey and Stoll, going down to the hands of the defenders. But you're going to see a first pick here for the attackers. That's going to be Novozo going down. The Mute, huge player of the objective, and now we see a little bit more pressure coming out from the attackers. They're trying to make moves into the objective already. You see about a minute left on the clock, so they don't have a lot of time, but they do have enough to try to form at least some type of an attack on the objective.
Crucial missed opportunity here for Helio. He's worried about the many INC defenders covering these cross angles. You've got the Malusi of Yusuke re-peeking. He swings from Attic and guns down the Ash, and now the lack of pressure from Redux, cutting their losses in their T3 attack, has forced them into a terrible position. Miracle will go down. Mouse is looking for one of the defenders. Maybe they get over aggressive and he finds a freebie. In fact, he will now, taking out Kojin. But with 15 seconds to go, he's got the diffuser, but so many defenders from INC. The cross angle is covered. Bone gets an easy kill as INC lock out that very first round with an excellent time waste.
I think they played this round very beautifully. They locked down the correct angles. They knew, it's almost like they predicted exactly where Redux was going. They had T3 locked down. They grabbed a few frags from it. Stoll specifically going down first. That's huge. Like you said, that's great for utility, for the defenders specifically, taking down the Zofia. But I think overall, they just knew they were a lot more confident than Redux was on the defense than they were on the attack.
The big thing about that T3 hold we saw them execute is it's a huge gamble. If you fail, if you don't get any picks or really don't waste a significant amount of time, now the attackers, they've got to rotate freely into Attic. They don't have to try and go below, blow up whatever may be protecting the Attic wall, and then hard breach it open. They get a freebie. Maybe they catch a couple of kills out of position. That is not what we just saw from Redux. They attempted to push. They went solo. They tried to fight 1v1 engagements, and the utility burn really left something to be desired for me. I think you probably should have tried to waste more of the ADS. fight from maybe more stable positions if you're on the Redux side of things, because they went for a lot of swings. The repels, it's kind of awkward to get into a position good enough in order to clear that corner. You have to go below and get a very specific angle up through the floor. And if you don't have the proper coordination and you're not prepared to go for that, you know, off the rip, Redux, what did they do? They approached it and then they saw it. You can't really operate with enough time going from there. INC will attempt another slowdown strategy. In combination, you've got the Clash with their shield and a Malusi Banshee. This is another round where Redux have to be successful on the utility game. Otherwise, INC will burn out the clock and force them to suffer.
We're also going to be seeing a Clash. A Clash is really interesting to be seeing, especially, I mean, bottom floor, it definitely, I can see why. But I still love the Clash play because she's great at bottlenecking the attackers, and essentially the only way you can deal with her and, I mean, take down her position is this specific position sitting in this little hallway here, is from overwhelming her with basically everything you've got. And on top of that, you got, you know, Malusi traps, you got all this utility being put on the attacker, so it makes a very hard sell to get not only Clash out of her position, but to get after all of that utility, to get behind it, that's a lot.
So, still attempting to gain control of Pillar. Stole, punished. He takes so much of a beating, now forced down to a sliver of HP. Miracle has been battle-hardened as well. He sits close to the door with less than 50, waiting for an opportunity here, but the Clash is not going to give him one. I don't know where the utility burn is at. Redux Rising have got the proper composition. We'll see one of the lifelines shot out, but the Clash manages to still prevail. Bone finds a frag onto Mouse now, though Burnt Turkey moving in to equalize as he guns down that key fragger. Pillar control falls under the watchful eye of Redux Rising as they approach E-Box with plans further to execute onto the objective. The diffuser, though, now in a weird position. They'll need to recover that before making those next steps. And with plenty of utility still remaining on the bomb site, those crucial gas canisters, as well as the opportunity for the Clash to rotate, getting a plant down here without any more frags is going to be nearly impossible.
Essentially, of course, it's going to come down to the attackers to make those aggressive movements. We're going to see Helio grabbing one right off the bat. That's from Ash. Automatically, Navosa's going to be taking some damage, though. He goes down, essentially already a 2v4. Burnt Turkey on the double kill. We see moving in, though, Exile. He might be able to get an advantage coming from Freezer. Do they know he's there? That's the question. Plant's going to start to go down. It's a 1v3 already. It comes down to Exile being able to clutch this out. He's playing the smoke. He's going to grab one that was already down. That's 1v1 already. We know the plant is down. He's got about 30 seconds left on the clock. He's going to have to take down a half-health Miracle. He's watching from afar. Will he be able to get the angle on him to move this in? He's going to be moving up a little bit further, inching towards the smoke, and he picks him off. And that is the round for Redux Rising. Boom.
Exile really missed his opportunity to try to go for the ninja defuse there. He kept baiting it. I felt like he sort of had like an idea that Ace was maybe up on the E-Box hatch inside a meeting rather than on back stairs. And the Ace did the one thing that you must do when you're in that position, and you need to feel confident in yourself. If you're second guessing, if you're playing slow and you don't have that motivation to swing, that's when you lose, and that's when your team screams at you because the defenders got a freebie and managed to ninja defuse. Luckily for the Ace, one Exile kept bailing off, and as well, Miracle, he just swung and won the gunfight. It wasn't in a proper position where you could have sat safely in the corner. Maybe Exile would have gotten it if he had ninja diffused it at first. That's when the Ace looked his most vulnerable, when he didn't want to peek. But he kept baiting. He went off and on, back and forth, did it like 7 or 8 times, and then eventually, you know, the Ace said, "Stop making all that racket, I'm coming in here to kill you."
Right, and nobody says no to an AK-12, right? Even somebody with a really all-powerful SMG, yeah, you can't say no to an AK-12. So that was a great round win for Redux Rising, although it was really close by the end. We saw a lot of really important picks come out from Exile, but to me, I think it came too close. Honestly, they had the upper hand. They had such a great advantage, Redux, and they almost lost it. It was a huge, it was almost as if they, I don't know, it's,
It's almost
I
a
don't know.
blunder.
Yeah, almost a blunder. Sorry, you caught me there. You caught me there.
I think, honestly, INC made some of the same mistakes. They had such little time. Redux are not a quick team from these first 2 rounds. They are spending increasingly a lot of time trying to drone things out and find the intel, and they seem at sometimes hesitant to try and go for swings. Maybe that's a change in this round. We'll see Bone early. He forfeits control of the backstairs instead to play a softer position over here by Pillar. The utility being wasted on the bunker door. It doesn't seem like INC are being as affirmative in trying to push back against the Redux attack. They're going to hold safer. They don't have that clash, so you can't really play as aggressive and, you know, be in your face like the clash can do. We'll see Helio goes down. Nagoyo, maybe he wants it. Maybe he's baiting, looking for the opportunity. Miracle could find a very good frag here. Exile, if he hits a proper nitro, though. Losing Helio now, a man advantage would be terrible. We'll see the flashbangs tossed in, both of them wasted. A nitro cell in the hand of the Goyo. Flies out, does it connect? It does! And he manages to kill Miracle. Burnt Turkey skates right past, waiting to pick up his down teammate. Does Exile know? He doesn't hear the sound call. Now he goes for the swing. He spots one. He kills the Nomad. Exile with a triple kill, gunning down everyone inside bunker. Now 2, Stole will fall, and Mao's forced to make something happen with 5 defenders to go. Not gonna happen, and INC get a flawless round.
Oh my word. Exile, he was the man to watch that round. That was an absolutely beautiful play from him. I mean, the bait. It was absolutely crazy. That nitro cell kill was on point. Even when the attackers attempted to burn out that utility, it just seemed like a really sad bottleneck. That's the simplicity of it. I mean, Goyo basically one-handedly took down the entire he basically took down the entire attack with a single-handed move. And all it took was, you know, a really well-placed shield, a nitro cell, and an SMG.
It's kind of a sad round for Redux. They
Truly.
got so trapped up inside bunker. They were trying to get the team up, and then it was kind of like a guessing game of who will peak first. They tried to rush past, and they made, I think, the worst mistake possible. Instead of sending just one player in to try and res, they sent everyone. They tried to blind the Goya, which I think only really spurred him on to be prepared for a push. He tossed a wonderful nitro cell. It did not matter that he was flashed. The nitro still connected, and he swung wide. Maybe the Vector is not the best gun to use in that mid-range engagement, but Exile, he sure made it work.
Most definitely. I mean, it goes past the point of, you know, hit your shots. I mean, you're right. That gun does not have great accuracy. I mean, long distance, it's got a good drop off. We'll say that, right? As all SMGs do. But I don't know. There's something about him and that gun paired together that just makes for a deadly combo, simply. But let's move into this round, shall we? So, looking at the entry here, we have a bit of an interesting situation. We obviously see the 90. I mean, as best as I can put it, we're going to see top floor being played. Now, White Stairs is going to be contested already. It seems like a really aggressive push, really aggressive take already on the top of White. I'm not sure if the defense knows if they're there. Looks like they were caught off guard a little bit. Exile's going to take heavy damage, but Soul in the same breath is as well. We're going to have to see how the rest of this plays out.
INC, they kind of showed their cards. Helio will get a wonderful floor bang shot, faking out Exile, and now the man advantage goes the way of Redux. Maybe, if even though Stoll has already suffered a bit. Helio seems to have some advanced knowledge that Bone is about to come up. He spots him, doesn't manage to finish off the Jaeger though, and so Bone escapes an engagement which he should have lost. And that'll give just a little bit more time for the defense to burn and for Bone to allow in his roam. Minute and 25 as Redux will approach the objective. They're going to try to go for an execute here, but the problem is attacks going for a big window push on dorms are rarely successful. You're forced in, you have to jump through a threshold, and it's not the easiest to win a gunfight when you're pushed through that animation. We'll see Helio drops down. He might try to rotate, push in from white as Jaeger will clear out security. He might have an opportunity to find the thermite. But the drone skates past, and this will reveal his position. That doesn't matter, though. Bones still wins it anyway. Mouse tries to swing, and Stoll can't yet push in the window. Redux Rising are once more sidelined in their attack plan and forced to waste time as they prepare their execute.
Definitely, there's going to be another attack here on the side of the defense. Bone, he's going to take one more soul. This time it's Stoll. Was already damaged this time, but he does get refragged in the end by Miracle. Takes a fast jump in. On the bottom of white, we already see a 3v3 situation by now, and it seems like the attack is already mounting up on this one double window. And like you had said, it's a very hard sell to move into this window. However, they're going to smoke it out, but Navozo is going to be quick to the draw. Grabs one. Will he be able to grab the next? No. It's 2v1 already. A very close situation. About 8 seconds left on the clock. He doesn't have much time to work with. He's going to pick up one. Will he be able to grab another kill? He will not. Oh, my lord. He tries to put down the plant, but it ends up being Navozo who takes the round for Inc.
That was a little too close for Redux there. It almost looked like Burnt Turkey was about to pull off a clip with the Kali. We know that he can perform, but unfortunate, he just could not collect on that last kill. INC in their defensive setup, I think they knew Redux were going to try to go for that jump in, the window push, to go up white stairs. They already had a shield prepped, watching the window, sitting at an angle where the soft wall had been opened up. They had a reinforcement as well to allow some cover so you couldn't bank off a nade for, say, to clear the back of Kid's bedroom. And I've never been a fan of that push. It just doesn't see a whole lot of success. Really, the only stable area that you can apply pressure from in that attack is from white stairs. And even then, you push in from white, and there is just a complete volley of angles that the defense can use. They can swing you from Kid's bedroom, from the hallway as well, from the white rotate. And we've got a comment here from Dash. He says, my favorite player is the Bone guy. He is a very good aimer. Dash, for those of you who don't know, is actually the analyst for InControl.
Really? I did not know that. So not only is he the analyst for Control, but he is he is an amazing player. I mean, you see it. That comment really did him in. You see that he's got a great game sense. He knows how to outplay certain situations. He knows when he has a good position and knows how to play great angles to his advantage. Everything about this player is great. Right?
I might have led you off on the
Did you lead me
direction. Off? Dash is the analyst, the one who made the tweet.
Dash is the analyst.
Bone is the gunner.
Bone is the player.
Bone does not have a brain with which to make an analysis. I'm sorry. I totally misconstrued that.
No, you're okay. No, that's me. I got caught off guard. Anyways. Let's get back into the game. Okay. All right. So we're going to see first floor being played. This is obviously the first time that has been played on the defense of Inc. Because so far they've been cycling through top floor and bottom floor. So I'm kind of excited to see what they're going to hold for this objective. You can obviously see the attack. They're putting a big amount of players. I mean, they're putting a lot of pressure on the tower side of things. They already have broken in to the A site via, I believe it was either Ace or Habana. I can't really see the impact holes very well, but either way, they're trying to make an attack setup for themselves. And if in this situation Redux is allowed to mount up an attack, it might be a very deadly situation at this point. But now 3v4 situation, lots and lots of action going on. We see Navozo, he's going to pick up a double kill all the way from attic. This puts the attackers in a very hard situation. Already a 3v1. Wow, lots and lots of action. Mouse, he's the last player left on the team in this round.
We talked about gambling in the past, and from that attack, Redux, they really placed a large wager and it did not pay off. They tried to force and execute onto the objective, and they didn't clear one of the most important positions, sandbags, just inside a meeting to the right. As you go through the nice little X-Kairos holes, that allows you to basically smoke the plant for the entire duration of the round. Redux tried to go for a fast plant, maybe bait it out, ultimately didn't work, and now Mouse has to fight 3 people at once. You've got somebody protecting a potential defuse on the back stairs, and a shotgun swing from Kojin ends the life of Habana, and INC will take another round now. Their performance has been pretty well consistent. Yes, there was a whole lot of chaos in that last round from Redux. Ultimately, though, they were able to ready up and persevere.
Most definitely. I think that analysis of that round was absolutely spot on, right? They put a lot of bodies specifically in places where it definitely could pay off, but they had to watch their ankles. They had to be secure in everything that they did, every move that they did, and that push was way too volatile. Like we previously said, it was way too insecure for them to get a good foothold in the objective, specifically to move in. I mean, they got taken off. They got picked off from multiple different angles, right? You see attic, you see, I mean, even bottom floor, I believe. But either way, it definitely was not the best execution of their resources of their players. But let's hope to see in the next round of first floor that they can play a little bit better now that they know at least how the defense works. So far, though, they do only have a 1 round spot on the board here, 4-1 score line. And mind you guys, this is the last round before the roll swap, I believe. We're going by regular rules. Last round before roll swap, yep. And if it turns out to be a 4-2 score line with Redux winning this round, they could put themselves in a pretty good situation for the defense. I mean, I know they still are a little bit down on rounds, but I mean, it's better than a 5-1, right? Either way, I think that, winning this round could be huge for their momentum, for shutting down Inc, and eventually, maybe building up on that.
Yeah, a 4-2 split is infinitely better than 5-1 when you're on the lower digit side of things. And one major concern I have is we're on Redux's pick. Yes, Oregon can be very defender-sided, especially when you're playing with a new player, effectively a sub having Helio, and you might not have that full understanding as well as the elevated level of coordination and chemistry that you need to perform well on the attack. Redux, they have only that single round. It was a fairly competent win in number 2, where they're able to force out, take control of the basement initially, but since then, INC have made a couple of changes. They're playing more passive, at least in that previous interpretation. Now they brought back the Clash to try and continue to peak. I imagine that's probably them saying we can't expect to see Exile find another triple kill as he did in the very sad round, I think as we called it, back on number 3, but they're going to try to play more in your face. Kojin has taken a bit of punishment early, but they still have yet to clear him out, and that is starting to become more and more worrying. We'll find an entry frag. Redux, this is what they need, but next, you've got to focus on clearing this Clash.
A bomb has been located.
Most definitely. They're going to have to at least put some type of utility into clearing off that Clash. It seems like they're making their best attempt at it. They have brought Zofia for that specific spot. They also brought Ace, obviously in an attempt to take down the reinforcements, but either way, I mean, they don't have a lot of resources outside of Zofia to take down that Clash. You are going to be seeing Novozo and Bone already down off the board. About 1 minute left on the clock, though. It's going to be a very aggressive take already from Burnt Turkey. He's going to grab 3 kills, and that's a flawless round for Redux, all in quick succession.
I mean, that's the Burnt Turkey effect. He will come up when you least expect him and get the frags that you need him to. So, you've always got to worry about that. He finds a way, he gets a path, and then he's just kind of in the midst of things. And maybe the chaos didn't work for Redux on that tertiary bomb site back when we saw a meeting. It certainly worked just then, and now the side switch. Redux achieved that the 2-4 that maybe they didn't want, but it's certainly acceptable. here we go now. We need to see Redux play smart on their defense. I'm hoping that they play really flexibly, because INC are kind of a team that if you do the same thing over and over again, they will start to kind of catch wind of that. Maybe they're not the hugest counter-stratting team that's going to look into the past and see what you do over here on the defense, but still, I think it is a bit of a concern, especially when INC are full of confidence and they're full of that potential to swing. I hate to break it to you, but you're muted. Sad face.
Sad face. Okay. Well, most definitely, I agree with you that Redux has been, especially historically, has been a bit of an inconsistent team, to say the least. We know that Helio, I mean, he has shown up a little bit. He's going 6-5, definitely, second on the leaderboard, so he is showing up with kills on that part. But plays, I mean, I think he's been doing pretty good with plays too, objectively, we're gonna say. But either way, I mean, is he gonna make or break this team? I don't think so. Looking at this player being inserted, but either way, I do think that Redux most definitely, they play very heavily on kills and on aggression, and a lot less on, strategy, being able to get down the fundamentals of what they're doing. So who knows? I mean, we know that Inc is just about the opposite of that. They're very good structurally, but either way, we'll be seeing an interesting round ahead of us. We see top floor being played as Redux's first round in the way of Smoke, Mute, Malusi, Jaeger, and Maestro. Definitely nothing new here, right? You would expect to see a 5-man of the sort.
Yeah, Redux are playing kind of a loose roam here. You've got Helio. He, I think, detects that INC are moving closer and he bails off. I'm not liking the fact that InControl are doing that same thing we saw from Redux, the white stairs big window push. Maybe this is just something that I'm not seeing as a caster, that maybe taking control of Trophy and going for a traditional attic push is just not so good anymore. But as long as INC don't do the same things that Redux do in giving away freebies on the flank here, and they can shut down the roamers. Still got to play a little bit carefully. The Ash charge will detonate. He tries to go aggressive. It's almost like they've got intel. He manages to find a frag anyway, though. Gunning down Exile as he skates back to the objective, playing it safe, but maybe never mind that. He's just going to hang around White Stairs, continue to swing, continue to push. INC, it can be so difficult to get a solid footing here. We mentioned how you need to kind of have a solid foundation to push onto this objective, especially for the top floor. And if INC don't follow that school of learning, they might not get to a win here.
All right, well, we're going to see that Navozo picks off first defender. That's going to be Stole, but in a double kill for him. We see, that was hard to see. We see a double kill on the side of Navozo. Speaking of the devil, it's going to be Exile and Yusuke. Yeah, that's correct. Yusuke down, and once again, a lot of pressure from White Stairs. Yeah, you're definitely right in the way that it seems like a trend coming from White Stairs is pretty huge. Even though it's a big bottleneck for a lot of attack teams, they're going to have to get past that. But Navozo already on the triple kill. It's a 2v1 situation. Helio, it's going to be a clutch now for him to win out the round. He's going to put a lot of damage on Navozo, getting him down to, I believe, at most 5 health. Cogent, however, he's going to put down that plant, but we do know where it is, the general idea of it. Thermite being stuck in that corner, that could be a bad situation for him if Helio takes advantage of it. We know the position of Navozo. The question is, will he be able to frag off of that? He will not. Navozo's going to take the head glitch, and he's going to run with it. He kills Helio and finds the round win for his team.
Maybe it's difficult to attack there. INC made it work. I feel like you need to be kind of a fragging, kind of on-the-fly team in order for that attack strategy to be particularly successful. We got to talk about the larger impact and what some people call the round economics. INC has started off the side split. This is supposed to be where Redux show up, but they take 5-2. And so now they're within grasp of taking map point, which would push them further and gives them a lot of momentum. And for a team like INC, sometimes momentum can be, a contributing factor. They're still a team that can make a comeback, though. I'm concerned whether or not they'll be able to close it out. We'll see this next round to act as a big test of that. If Redux can establish a more solid footing now as we go down to the middle floor, maybe this is what'll work. But to see them struggle a lot on the primary bomb site when INC go about it with, frankly, the weaker of the two routes to attack there for the primary objective, that makes me a bit worried that maybe they don't have enough gas in the tank, and maybe taking Oregon was not the most sound decision.
Definitely, they might be a little bit in over their heads when we speak of Oregon, but who knows? I mean, either way, I do definitely say that they can pull this out if they play as a team, if they play together, if they get the hardships out of the way for their team, right? It's been a lot of, they've been taken out individually, they've been doing a lot of individual plays and not always playing together. They'd be taking really, like you said, even weak routes when they were on attack. So, I mean, for INC to take it with such grace, even on white stairs, and take the entire round, that does speak volumes about the general skill level of Redux and how well they can play under pressure like that. But we're going to be seeing an entry all the way in meeting room, about 40 seconds on the clock already down.
Redux seemingly attempting the traditional vertical hold. They've got a bit of utility dedicated up here inside of the kids' bedroom. Bone and Exile getting the drone work out. They want to make sure that nobody's lurking inside of games. The last thing you want when you're attacking an extension is to die because someone's hiding in a rat corner and you didn't get the proper intel. If that happens, whoever the droner is on your team, they are gonna they're gonna have someone shouting in their ear. But the rest of INC, they mount further. Helio attempts to go for a pre-fire here, a bit of damage dealt onto Navozo. Now, the rest of INC down further inside of the main lobby as well as the meeting hall. More explosives being detonated as the rest of INC try to choke out the remainder of Redux Rising, but more time wasted upstairs is less to maneuver yourself down on the first floor. Exile with a great entry here lops the head off of Helio. This should force Redux Rising back, but I don't know if they've realized this. The X factor of the Warden in his glasses. He might be able to get a couple of freebies, but damage dealt, and he's pushed further back with Burnt Turkey on the assist. Helio and Miracle now are joined in the graveyard, and Mouse will go there too.
With all the bodies on the defense down at this point, it gives the attackers a very specific advantage going into the rest of our 1 minute. And already they win the round. Oh my lord, Bone comes to the top of white and so masterfully takes out the pistol. Pistol whips the one remaining defender, and that's a great round for the attack. That's Ink right there. That they put themselves in a match point. I mean, like you said, a lot of bodies and a lot of utility was put on top floor for the vertical hold, so it was basically up to Ink to say, okay, you know what, they put basically everything in top floor, let's contest it, let's make our best attempt at getting it, and they did it so well. They took every single opportunity they could. I mean, they basically split up the defense. The defense did not seem to be playing together on that, and it was a lot of individual kills, individual engagements in the big firefight of it all that ended off the round.
I think there was kind of a crisis of the decision-making there from Redux in that they lost the round before things even had progressed down to the floor of the bomb site itself. They tried for so long and so hard to remain in control of the top floor, and to be fair, when you lose control of the top floor, you're almost certainly going to lose the rest of the round as a result. But Redux lost not only the man advantage, the utility was clear, and INC had the proper amount of intel to push and to kill everyone that was left up there. They never gave it up. Redux said, this is the hill we're going to die on. Man, they died, and now they head down to match point. INC have the perfect opportunity to take their opponent's map pick, a huge amount of round differential in the 7-2 victory here, and they moved to their own pick with the confidence of knowing that Redux, their preparation didn't work out.
Right, and that's actually such a huge factor. And having that confidence to be able to attack, I mean, that's necessarily half of the battle, if we're thinking about it. I mean, obviously, it does come down to strategy, does come down to individual skill, but motivation can be such a huge factor. Either way, we are going to be seeing a big progression of the attack going all the way down to the tower side, as well as the, I believe it is garage side? I'm not quite sure the actual name for it. It's the blue room area?
Bunker?
Bunker, yeah. I'm so bad with callouts. Either way, okay, bunker.
So the area directly ahead of Yusuke through those double doors?
Yes.
That is bunker.
That is bunker. Yeah, you can see how rusty I am. Definitely took a little bit of a break from casting. But
you'll get back into it.
Right. Okay, alright. So the Wolves are already down. That's going to be the first pick for the defenders. Great.
Oh!
Great. Oh my lord. And it was a frag that took down Burnt Turkey in... Oh my gosh.
Oh my god, Exile.
Oh, beautifully placed. Beautifully placed. Absolutely wonderful. But 3v3 already. Lots and lots of aggression from the attack. Coming in. It's 2 players left. It's Helio and it's Mouse. The narrative continues. About 1 minute left on the clock. They're going to have to play with their smarts. They're going to have to play together if they want to win this out. You can see a lot is mounting towards the electrical room. Yeah, swinging. Swinging is the best way you can do it. Putting as many bodies on it, trying to refrag. I mean, they do have the man advantage, so they do have the room to do it, right? So Mouse is the last player left. 50 seconds on the clock. He's getting pressured from every angle. Flash is going down. It's absolute chaos. He's going to try to take an opportunity of going around, but he knows he's already covered by 1 in the freezer. He's going to pick up 1. That's a big angle for him to take out. The diffuser has already been down, though. He's got 1 directly in front of him, and it's going to be Yusuke that finishes the round for Inc. and for our entire map.
Well, Inc. got it done. They played well in the defense, and so they had to kind of prove themselves. Switching over to the attack, it's not as easy, but they sure made it look easy, and they played out of their minds. Very well coordinated. Everything was properly executed, and 7-2 is a huge, huge blow dealt to Redux Rising, who are now significantly back on they're on the back foot, and they have fell down in the ditch. They're gonna have to fight hard on Clubhouse, and for a map that is so heavily structured, I'm not sure that they can do it.
Yeah, like you said, I am back now. I've been unserver muted, so I can speak, and I'm happy about that. But an absolutely wonderful game so far coming out of InControl. And you can't undersell the fact that that was Redux Rising's map choice. And now we're going to be going to InControl's map choice. So not necessarily looking that good for the boys in orange and black. But overall, absolutely wonderful game played. I would say that that was definitely a win for InControl as opposed to a loss for Redux Rising, as Inc just looked so sharp. They looked amazing. And overall, I think you guys did really good justice to how structured they were, how frag heavy and confident they were playing. Out of all of the entire game, I want to know what each of your guys' favorite play was so far. So I guess we'll start with Stick, then head on over to Jenna.
Oh, this is an easy one. It's got to be Exile hiding in elbow where he got a triple kill on Goyo. Not only did he manage to launch a nitro cell while Flash take out someone that he wasn't even trying to kill, then he had the confidence that INC is well known for to swing around the corner, gun down the 2 remaining players, and deny that round almost in its entirety.
And now you, Jenna, let's hear it.
Oh, most definitely the 3-piece. The lineup, I believe from, was it Exile he was playing? What was it? Nomad.
That was the Burnt Turkey, I think.
Oh, Burnt Turkey, yes, Burnt Turkey. Oh my gosh, I'm mixing up the names here. Yeah, it's a rough go. It's a rough go tonight. But Burnt Turkey, yeah, it was a 3-piece I mean, he took a masterful play. He took a chance on moving into the objective. He knew that the defense had their backs turned on him, and he knew that he could take that opportunity. I mean, he played it so well, right? He took the one operator that was sitting in the objective, and then the rest of them just lined up through the impact hole. So, I mean, for him to do that, regardless, for him to be bold enough to move into the objective, understand that he could do that, was absolutely amazing. I mean, that's mindfulness right there.
Yeah, the only reason I knew right off the top of my head that that was Burnt Turkey is that was my favorite play as well. I'm a big Burnt Turkey fan. Sure, he didn't get the result, but he got his Twitter clip coming out. A 1-2 triple spray coming out of the Nomad using all 41 bullets out of that AK and just allowing himself to propel and get one of the only 2 rounds that Redux Rising were able to get. Not the most favorable outcome of their own map choice, but they are going to be looking to bounce back on Clubhouse. I actually do think that we have our analysts ready. So we're probably going to say goodbye to both of you, Jenna and Reese Sticula, as you'll get a little bit of a break coming through, hopefully. I don't necessarily know how all of this works because this is my first time desk hosting.
We'll hear about it soon.
Yeah, we'll hear about it soon, I guess. But overall, I guess.
There we go.
Yes, we do have the analysts. Hello, this is not only Ferme, who you might know as the head of the league, the brainchild behind SCS.
What's good?
But we also have somebody else who's I never thought I would have to deal with again after my experiences with another unnamed league. But he has somehow managed to snake his way back into my life, and that is Mistakes. Welcome to the analyst desk. How are both of you guys doing today?
Doing pretty fine. How about yourself?
Dude,
Doing pretty well.
Hold up, I need to turn you up on my end. Where are you? Hold up. Where are you?
We're doing a little bit of on-the-fly audio adjustments here. That's what
you're
Ferme...
quiet, okay? What's up, boys? What it be, what it do? Ferme's back with another game review. All right, so we got a InControl versus Redux Rising game today, and honestly, I would have never thought it's gonna be that much of a decisive map. 7-2 in Oregon, but honestly, let's take a step back. They didn't auto-bat, so Redux voluntarily let Oregon go through. We all know that Ink just slaps everyone on that map. They're probably the most confident, and with Nivozo, and oh my goodness, I'm forgetting their players. Honestly, with the 2 players that they picked up from the Homelands roster, honestly,
Exile and Nivozo.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I just didn't want to say some random thing. Yeah, Exile and Nivozo. They picked out those 2 guys. Oregon is free map for them. Like, they're going in there knowing they're gonna get it. So I'm pretty sure Redux just lost the map ban to them in the first place. You let them go on their most confident map. Could have been a tactical choice, maybe they prepare to counter-strat them on Oregon, but still, you know, you're taking a big risk. You're taking a very, very strong team. This result just kind of makes sense. The fact that just InControl, yeah, it speaks for itself. You don't take them to Oregon. Like, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's like when a while ago with Varsity, they were really good they're a really good cafe team. You instantly ban them because they're really good at it. Same thing for Ink here. They're really strong in Oregon, as we saw from right here. I really like their clash play right here, as we see on the screen. I feel like it was doing really good, but they couldn't win their 1v1s, as you saw Redux in that only round. They were just rushing in and getting those kills. I really like the play, and I feel like it's really strong, but main point I want to make is losing 1v1s. It seems like Redux were a little bit uncomfortable, and in like the whole strategizing part of it, it seems like Ink were at the forefront of it and just were prepared to fight back and go back and forth.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Sorry, C-Dubs, you go ahead. You had a thought going.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can't really put it any other way than breaking it down. That Ink just looked a lot more confident on the map. You're seeing Exile almost get this clutch on your screen. It was so close he could almost taste it. And it was just one of those positions that Miracle was in a better position. He crept up, gets a beautiful headshot right onto the remaining smoke. But that's sort of where the positives end. The only defensive rounds that Ink lost were downstairs in the basement. But then that didn't necessarily matter because their attacks were lights out.
Dude, well, we can sit here and like overanalyze this map and just try to pick up certain things, but honestly, no InControl, they own this map. Literally, if we went to a grocery store and there was Oregon, like there's an InControl logo on it. They literally own this. I don't know. I don't know why
It's
that
their own
was.
brand.
I don't know why they let this map come through. Again, I'm gonna reiterate again. It's just, I wouldn't want to take in control on this map. Because they have so much experience. They know everything about this map. I don't see anything that can be punished against them. They're very, very structured. Clearly they know their positioning, what they're doing, and just certain things. Like, again, the hero plays shut them down. Burn Turkey came in, killed everyone, and they go, oh, that's how they lost the round. Okay, like, it's not because they're not playing properly. It's because the hero play of Burn Turkey or some hero play walked in, shoot, 1 versus 4, unclutchable, right? That's just my take on this.
Yeah, I agree with Firma here that for Redux to actually win a round, it caused a miracle play, or they needed just to rush in and go for picks, in which we almost saw Burt Turkey, I believe, in this round almost get a 1v3 clutch, but he was trying to go for a plant, but then got off it and failed to win the 1v1 at the end.
Yeah, that's just sad.
It seemed like they couldn't win their fights, and Inc. were just ahead at everything and were just winning just because they were more confident and more strategized, while on the other side they were just chilling.
Dude, this clutch is actually, this could have been a winnable situation. Like, I'm actually sad. Like, I was watching this live, right? Just literally producing this, but like, that was very, very clutchable. I was just really sad that he didn't go for the frag, especially the last one. He really had a chance to win that.
Yeah, it was like 5 seconds left.
No, it's 2. That was about 3. It's about 3,
really?
and he went for the plant when the guy was in. But I guess there was just no intel. I don't think he had intel on him. So we're actually.
I feel like he was standing. That's what happened. He was standing and moving. That's why he got off the plant like at 1 second left.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, there was the little bit of in chat. He did say he thought he had the sound cue of the final player being on bottom white.
Oh, that sucks.
And
That sucks.
I think he was adjusting his plant spot.
That
or
sucks.
like just kind of, he started planting. He's like, oh, he's bottom white. I can't
Yeah.
get there. I need to tap on the diffuser.
I
But
don't understand what Smoke was doing here, over peaking. Feel like in this map,
see.
people.
So 3
Too many
seconds.
people
He
were
has
going
3
for
seconds. Yeah, that sucks. That could have been
sucks.
winnable.
That was winnable.
Absolutely. Again, if he had like that's my thing. If he had no intel, I get it. Like, you're acting on like the last second and you need to ADS and you have to go for the frag. But if you literally had a sound cue that he's bottom white, that sucks. That's literally the game screening over. Like, you can't blame the guy. Like, it was very, very winnable, but unfortunately it didn't go in. It didn't go in his favor. That's fine. But then again, round 7, man. You know, usually before we start this analyst desk, I ask people for the rounds, but what attracted you to this round? What was so interesting about this one?
Usually it's, I want to see how your defense starts up, because a 4-2 split is normal for Oregon, right? I believe that if you lose the first round of your defensive side, you lose momentum and you lose the map. And that's exactly what we saw here. Just in control with their attacks being precise and just winning it out. And I feel like momentum is a huge part of the game, right? You win a map, you win a round or a map, you're moving on, right? And Redux here, it seems like they were a little bit frozen in place, and we're just trying to figure out what they were doing. Like, they didn't expect to be down 4-2, and honestly, probably would have looked like a 3-3 split if that clutch came out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like that startled them out a lot. Like, coming from a person who used to play in Tier 3, if you lose like a clutch, it hurts you a lot. It hurts you
Mentally.
a lot. Yeah, mentally, and you're just shooken up. And I believe in this round, they were just shooken up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We talk about momentum a lot. What Redux needs to really do is just, you know, it's only 1 map. All right, and sure, they don't get points for this one. They can still get full points for the next map. They just have to mentally reset. They have to get that momentum back on track. You know, this map never happened. Again, we already talked about how this map is clearly just they're going in underdogs at this point. But, you know, I'm excited to see what's going to happen in Clubhouse. I believe it's going to be a much closer game. They're going to be both ready for it. They kind of know how both teams play out. So, C-Daps, I'll let you introduce our casters back again, and we're going to be back for the second analyst desk.
Yep, goodbye to the analyst desk, and welcome back to Jenna and Reese, Sticula, and Giraffe Row. I'm sure you guys are definitely ready and revitalized after that little bit of a break to get right on into Clubhouse. So do you guys have any more predictions coming out? What do you think you're going to see coming out on this map?
we talked about that kind of like strategy element, and I like what Mistakes said. You know, the momentum of losing a clutch is huge, and it really tilts you, and that's something you've got to have moved past. You need to come into Clubhouse with a fresh face. You're making sure that anything that INC shows you, you're going to use that to the best of your ability to play well, to execute, and to adapt. Because way back on Oregon, it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of adapting from Redux. They played a lot of the same strategies, and when something didn't work on their defense, they just went to a new bomb site. And maybe that was because we didn't get to see a whole lot and they were kind of floundering, searching for something that could have given them an edge to play competitively and fight back in that. But you can't allow that same thing to happen here on Clubhouse now, where the points matter so much more.
And again, like you said, Clubhouse is such a strategy-based map, and for a team with such a level head to be going against a team that's a little bit more, you know, they have an unknown factor, Helio. I mean, I can't say this enough. He is going to be the element of surprise. I mean, so far he's been the element of surprise for Redux, and for this map to be a map where everything is so standardized. I mean, it's been in the meta for a while. The rework has been out for a while. Even I was casting it before I took a break, so I know some of the ins and outs of it. And it's gonna come down to, like you said, it's a big close game. It's gonna come down to even more than strategy. It's gonna come down to even more than just knowing the meta. It's gonna come down to those individual plays, and we're gonna have to see a lot of teamwork in this. Something that Redux has been struggling with in the past game, and they do kind of have the tendency to, well, I guess I could say they do have the tendency to work better in those conditions, even in those stressful moments of clutch time.
So for the operator band so far, it's looking pretty similar to Oregon, though we have one notable change, and that's Maverick is left off on the board. Instead, we'll see that INC elect to remove Ace, Mira, the final operator to be removed here. So you still got Cade on the board with a Thatcher ban. That's going to be kind of a difficult thing to clear. Clubhouse allows you maybe a little bit more opportunities, especially when you're looking at kind of those Cade spots that are so difficult to clear. For instance, on Villa, there's one you can hold inside of AVG that is just impossible to get rid of without a Thatcher. And so maybe that'll play an effect some part here. But hopefully we can see Redux play their defenses and really use that element of time wasting that we saw INC use a lot, especially that Dorms defense that they ran where they were just off hiding inside a big tower. I need to see a lot of that here, and it's not always so possible to do. On the basement, yeah, you can go upstairs, you can play the SSG roam, but on CCTV, your opportunities to roam are not as frequent. All you can really do is station someone inside of rafters and then have support down inside of lounge, and even then that strategy is not all too prevalent.
You're definitely right on there. So we might be seeing somewhat of a bit of, well, of course we know the strategy of, for the most part, of CCTV, but we could be seeing more of a turtle strategy. That's something that I would love to see. Either way, though, CCTV is such a small objective, so we'd be hard pressed to see a turtle strategy. They're gonna have to move out of the objective at one point, but I would just love to see it work. You know, one time in my career of casting, I would just love to see turtle strategy work on CCTV. One of the hardest, absolutely hardest objectives to do that, with it being so small and so compact, but we might be able to see it. So we're going to move into the first part of the round, and obviously a lot of entry pressure is going to come from the west side of the map. We might be seeing something from top floor, most definitely from Jacuzzi, and of course there's nothing out of the ordinary about this push. There's nothing out of the ordinary about any bit of this. They're going to try to put a lot of pressure on west side and potentially take it from the master bedroom. Moving into construction, they're going to do, you know, a bit of a dual take and attempt the CCTV side of things as well. I mean, absolutely nothing that we wouldn't be able to predict here. It just comes on to the defense to be able to predict that for themselves and shut it down before they can mount a good attack.
INC definitely taking their sweet time in this Maverick trick. We saw the Sledge had a bit of trouble opening up the soft wall, but no longer. Now it's opened up, and the west side push that you talked about, I think, is INC being aware that Redux are trying to hold a little bit of control inside of construction. You've got the Malusi playing safe on her shield, protected by the ADSs. We'll see just left. And as far as the top 3 operators here in this composition, Mute, Wamai, or rather Malusi and Jaeger, nothing is really out of the ordinary. It's when you get to those bottom 2 that you see, things that you might not totally expect, and that's Mouse on Legion, as well as Miracle on the Warden. Another just display of the power of Helio to make plays. He jumps out and he guns down Bone. That impact player who either gets the first frag, goes crazy, or dies immediately. INC will suffer a bit in reciprocity, though, as we'll see now back to even odds. They managed to force Redux back. Control of construction seemingly should fall, but Stoll continues to try to push back and forth. An excellent shot. Exile will predict the prone angle of Stoll, and now INC fight back up to a 4v3.
Most definitely, with the control of construction in the hands of the attackers. Although there was a big pushback from the defense, we see 2 players going down at the hands of absolutely well-played angles. But we'll be seeing some interesting plays, hopefully, in the next few seconds. They got about 20 seconds left on the clock. They're going to have to move in through those predictable doorways, i.e. the construction movement. And obviously, the defense is going to know that this is happening. I mean, they're already setting up for it. They're playing very, very prudently, attempting to move in here. But 2v2 situation, and it comes down to a time. A time.
Yes. No more time. They're done, and they cannot get
it's
anything to go.
It's a time loss, definitely. But I think that it was okay. So now we're going into rehost, right?
Yes, we
Yes.
are.
We're doing a rehost. Okay. That round was interesting. I mean, it turned into the 20-second meta at the last part. The defense did beautifully, slowing down the attack. And even when the attack had complete control of construction, they played it so well in attempting to make the frags and slowing them down as much as they possibly could, wasting their time. I just think that the attack could have been a little bit faster, most definitely, but I think it was mostly on part just of the defense of playing their role so well and slowing them down. They were so confident with the objective of CCTV.
Yeah, exactly like you just said. When you have the very stall-heavy meta that we're seeing, ooh, my cam just decided to snap on in. If I go offline real quick, that'd be wonderful, so people don't have to see this Joker-esque. Oh, now I'm back.
Nope.
But going into exactly what Redux Rising was, I
Oh
do
my
not
God.
know what is
Oh my
happening.
God,
This
Connor.
is terrifying. But Redux Rising was going for a very stall-heavy kind of defensive anchoring position. They had the wonderful bits of the shields. They had a lot of angles opened up that they were able to lock down a construction push, as well as a couple of those things that we know as banshees that Malusi was bringing into her back pocket. I just don't know what's going on with my cam. This is something that only happens at
CDAPS
SCS.
is down bad.
I am
Flashing
down
now.
bad. I'm down worse than Big Beezer trying to get onto the cast.
We'll just
Like,
ignore this. I have never seen.
I have never seen this either, but pink and blue, maybe I just bleed BDS. BDS takes its shades of Caliber Jacob, but man, I wanted to go into some actual analysis, but I'm just getting completely thrown off by OBS Ninja saying, no, CDAPS,
Yeah.
I want you to be quiet.
Yeah, it felt like the defense really leveraged something. One of the only things that worked in the favor of Redux back on Oregon was Helio getting entries and being a playmaker. It felt like that was more common than what we had seen moving into he could get entries. It didn't always meant that Redux won a round, but I mean, if you got an entry, maybe that's something to build off of. We've got the feed replay up so you guys can take a look at some of the action we had for that very first round and get a better idea of what happened there. But he did his job. He got impact and he got the frags necessary. I wasn't totally certain where he was going to slot into for Redux, whether that be in a fragger, kind of an entry role, or more of just kind of a flex who can get kills. But it felt like his impact was felt, and that's something INC got to shut down.
Exactly. You said it so well. When you had a player like Helio who was very competent with a weapon in his hand, and you put that weapon to be the 416C carbine and tell him, you know what? Just have a great time. Fly out of windows. Exactly what he did over towards New Blue, taking out a very potent fragger in the form of Bone, trying to lock down that plat area pressure with supplemented with the Mavic trick that Kojin was going for, which never did come because of time issues. I guess they didn't have necessary coverage and just called the audible of, let's just try to push construction. That'll be fun. We don't have to worry about garage. We don't have to worry about anything else. But I don't think they had the necessary drone work and intel in order to make that a well-advised audible, because they played right into the hand of what Redux Rising was playing for. They really wanted that construction push. They wanted that to happen because they had so many resources. They had so many bodies allocated over towards that western side of the map that just allowed them to be fully successful on their defense.
One of the things I wanted to talk about is what we saw from Redux in this defense. We talked about how they tried to play it slow. They tried to force INC into a position where they were less comfortable. And that's a change that's come up a little bit more recently. It's that you're not turtling as much, and we'll see a great frag by Helio, the impact that he has. But we'll see instead you'll open up the wall that faces into construction and then combo that with Stole over here on the door. And in past times, Connor, I'm sure you're well aware of this, opening up that wall would have not been considered a smart move. The objective in pretty much every standard ranked defense of Cash is keep that wall shut at every turn. Don't give the attackers any leverage to get that open.
Yeah, exactly. It was a really interesting setup to see that construction wall opened up, and that was the play from the Redux Rising defense. They were just waiting for anybody to go. They had their angles set open from both top red as well as the garage rotate hole, and then construction became a kill box. It was a massacre. It was a firing squad that just so many bullets raining out of the side of Redux Rising. They painted the entire kill feed orange into their favor, and then there was just too much bleeding. No hemorrhaging could stop the blood flow that was coming out of the gaping wound that Ink had fallen before. And it was just kind of all over from there. Really well played defense coming out of Redux Rising. And Jenna, do you think that these defenses are going to continue as we're going to go to the primary as well as the tertiary bomb sites coming forward?
I really hope so. They played it so well when it came to wasting time. I mean, Helio was in such a great power position. I definitely agree that he was a great player when it came to holding down the fort. I mean, he was taking on two different engagements at the same time. Being able to multitask in itself is, on Rainbow especially, is a big feat of its own. But to be able to multitask and almost single-handedly get quite a lot of kills for your team, and be the fear factor of the actual of the attack. I mean, to hold them off and make it that 20-second meta is huge. So I'm hoping to see more plays from Helio. I'm hoping to see a lot more time wasting as we move on to our tertiary site. I'm hoping to see some good vertical play with these hatches. We know Kaid is not off the board, I believe, which means that he could be put into full use at this point. So holding off the hatches with Kaid playing on those vertical plays from the attack and the defense, I mean, it could be huge, especially for bottom floor where vertical play is so big.
Yeah, especially you touched briefly on the vertical pressure, which mainly is going to be from a sledge as well as a Habana opening up the soft as well as the hard parts of the floor that you need. Both of those operators have a really high influence rate if they're left either unbanned or just kind of never banned, like Sledge. When was the last time you saw a Sledge banned? He's brought 69% of the time. I'm going to round up nice, but not quite as much as we see with the 93 and 87% pick of the dynamic soft breaching utility of the Ashe and Zofia. That's the current meta we're in. You have to bring those projectiles as well. You see Ace is going up pretty well. He's leading the hard breachers. Besides, I guess Maverick is he's probably right off the edge with his influence rate, probably just behind Thermite if my predictions go forward. But as we transition over to the defense, Stick, who do you think the #1 defender is?
Jaeger.
Yep.
Yeah, Jaeger.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at that 98.4%. What strategy are you running that does not involve a Jaeger? Like,
Nothing.
you have to have Jaeger, especially when we've seen Wamai be banned so often. That really just leaves Jaeger as your last kind of dying effort to make sure you don't get exploded by a grenade that flies in front of your face. And maybe we'll see some more of that grenade play. That's something that I was kind of hoping for.
Right.
But Connor, I wanted to get your opinion on what you thought about the Legion and the Warden pick that we saw in round number 1, because they're not the most conventional operators.
You know, at the end of the day, I like to think that the Legion was really there for impacts as well as maybe a comfort pick for Mouse with the weapon. The T5 with a 1.5, very, very strong. It allows you to be very competent in like those mid to close range engagements because of the fire rate, as well as having that 1.5 optic. That little bit of extra zoom will let you hold all the way from garage rafters in towards the construction split. And that was overall really great, as well as the audio cues for not allowing somebody to sneak up on the bottom of those garage stairs, the area that the cam, if it survives at the top of the garage, would help you cover. You don't have to just kind of sit there and flick back and forth on your phone hoping to gather intel. You can just open up your ears and watch another more passive angle. And then the Warden, I guess, it always brings a shield as well as another 1.5, which is really great coming out. He is actually quite a good replacement for Wamai, which is what a lot of teams are realizing due to the heavy prevalence that we see Wamai always being banned. So why not just bring another operator with a shield that can just tank those flashbangs, tank those smoke canisters that would be used to burn? He just clicks on his glasses, they turn blue, and he tries to light the kill feed red.
I like that.
Yeah.
We are moments away from heading into the final map of this first series, but Clubhouse from Redux, I think that strategy, seeing them bring something that is not normal in extension into construction, I think shows that we're seeing a level of preparation. Redux know what they want to do on Clubhouse, which is great, because Oregon, you couldn't always say that. Some of their strategies, they look developed, they just didn't work out. They were too default, and INC read straight into that, whether it was on the attack or the defense. But you still need to worry about the fact that Oregon was a pretty neutral split in the favor of the favored side. It was 4-2, but just because we see one round win for Redux, that doesn't mean that INC are totally out of it, and they've proved to be a team that, no matter the odds, they've made good comebacks in the past.
Yeah, so we're going to send it on over to you guys at the actual game. Unfortunately, it will be a 4v5 because of some internet issues coming forward, but good luck with the rest of the game coming forward, and I know you guys are going to do great.
All right. Well, thank you for handing it off to us so wonderfully. But yeah, let's get into it. So yeah, 4v5 situation that already puts down the chances of the attackers winning this out. Of course, INC has lost one player. I believe it is. Wait, I'd have to look at it. Help me
Yusuke.
out here. Yusuke.
Yusuke is
I
the
wouldn't have been able to. I would have had a hard time pronouncing it anyways. But yeah, Yusuke, he is down. Yeah, I'd say Yusuke is a pretty impactful player as is. I mean, any player. It is a 5v5 is very impactful to lose. But we're gonna be seeing a bit of a modified setup: Maverick, Habana, Zofia, and Ashe. So you still maintain your two entries, but we also have two pretty obvious hard breachers, right? We got Maverick and Habana. They're going to be great for hatch play, but we don't see too much in the way of soft destruction outside of the two charges from Ash and Zofia. Nothing like a sledge, nothing that is, you know, very expendable, very definitely durable. So, I mean, they're going to have to use all of their utility very sparingly. We know that there is a Jaeger on the board. That's going to be huge for preventing that utility, on top of the fact that they already lost one player. So they're going to have to definitely play this one out with Crease. What? I say but a lot, but bottom floor. Bottom floor. It's going to be huge. Now, I am going to predict here that kitchen obviously is going to be huge, but as well as that blue. I'm gonna be saying that there's gonna be a lot of presence from blue, notably from Exile or Bone. We can already see that they're going that way. Kojin, he's gonna be immediately droning out the stock room. They're getting a bit of intel up on kitchen. Doesn't seem like there's too much of a presence outside of bottom floor, if at all. We see one player holding up on the stairs, but not directly roaming, not anybody directly roaming.
That's one thing I'm kind of worried about. If Redux really roam early, that gives INC the opportunity to find a pick, which is the ultimate goal here. You want to fight this into a 4v4. We've already seen that established with Mouse going down. Losing the Alda is crucial for this bottom floor bomb site, where the Alda, it's frankly king. You can just hold down your mouse button and clear everything, and it seems clearing will be the plan next as we move inside of Dirt Tunnel. But Bone has brought another LMG as well. He's got the 150 round magazine that the LMGE provides, and well, there's no better weapon you could really ask for here. We'll see Kojin goes down, confirmed by the smoke canister. However, Nevo, elsewhere on the map, gets more and more frags, pushing up to 3 now and forcing Redux into the disadvantage. If INC were to make any opening statement now, fighting at a disadvantage, this would be it.
Right, you are in Miracle once again in that stalemate of the drone coming in. Obviously, I mean, Zofia right now is at a bit of a loss. She can't really do too much, especially not without the main operator she was playing with, which was Maverick. Now this already comes down though to a 3v2. So regardless, Inc does have the advantage, body-wise, player-wise, and it seems like they're all situating in kitchen. It seems like that's where the execution is going to come from, the execute into the objective. But a 3v1 already, Exile's going to pick up one. That is all up to Burnt Turkey. We know he has that clutch factor about him. He can do this if he plays it correctly, but the diffuser has already been placed down. There's one playing above. It's going to be a hard sell for him already, and he is going to get taken out from 3 different angles. Not 1, not 2, but 3. Unfortunately, yeah, he was bombarded with bullets, and that shall end our round.
Redux really lost that round when they failed to achieve the crossfire. They knew he was going to have to drop the hatch. They were waiting for it, and it seems like the SMG-11 failed one of those 2 remaining defenders. And the big issue with killing someone when they drop a hatch is tracking them. And when you've got the SMG-11, it doesn't offer you the most in the tracking category because it shoots so fast that, you know, as soon as you see someone drop the hatch, it's a flash before your eyes, and then you hold down the trigger, and then all of a sudden, you know, that fire rate, your bullets are gone, and the person is lying on the floor prone, killing you. And so to see INC pick up a round, maybe this is the motivation, the momentum that they need, but INC are out of rehost, and so even if Yusuke's internet comes back online, he will be sitting on the sidelines and watching in Twitch as we progress for the rest of this game. And so INC, if they're going to win it now, they have to win their attacks confidently. Moving over to the defense, I think it's a little bit more manageable when you're working from a disadvantage as a defender because you just play more passive and you don't over-aggress. You try that on attack and you're just going to waste all your time.
Right, you're definitely right. It's all about balance. It's all about setting the pace of the round. It's all about making the correct plays at the right time. And that's what they're going to have to do, and it's even more of a reliance on each individual player now that they're down 1 player specifically. and a more reliance on utility. Of course, they do not have a sledge, once again, so they're not going to have as much soft breachability. They will have a good bit of utility in the way of, flashes, in the way of um, their indirect, their little breaching guns. It, I'm at a loss for words, but you know what I mean. Zofia and Ash, I'm actually surprised that they haven't brought a sledge yet, rather than Zofia and Ash. Any commentary? on
Yeah. The frag grenades would certainly be helpful here when the big focus from INC is clearing out dirt. Miracle got very lucky in that previous round in that he at least took somebody with him, which is not always possible, and even in a 5v5, but here we go again. Mouse goes down twice in a row now, the opening kill. In the previous round, obviously that was Navozo finding the frag, but still he will fall. Redux get exactly what they need, and that's burnt turkey on the board as he'll gun down Nevo, and now you've lost your hard breacher, Habana. That's big. Moving forward as well, without that man advantage aspect we saw play out in the previous round, INC are going to be a little bit more hesitant. And that's not always what you need. Miracle swings, he's going aggressive, but he gets gunned down. That M4, it hits hard, and he will go good night. And now INC fight back into a manageable position, but with Stoll on the flank, anything can happen.
Most definitely anything could happen. Stoll could be our factor here of winning the round. He could pull out the biggest clutch in this game so far. We're gonna have to see though as time plays out. You already see a good presence in blue. You see the presence in the objective itself. It just comes down to the attacker's presence in dirt and the way that they're actually going to pull out their execute. Seems like so far they're a little bit bottlenecked right now. Kojin, he is the primary attacker in dirt. He's just trying to hold out his angles, right? Exile, he's gonna pick up one for his double kill. And he's playing on Hatch, so they have a pretty good idea, it seems like, of where they want to go. It's just how to execute. Exile already moving into the objective, right? He's in 2v2. Helio's gonna pick up one. Bone's gonna respond to that. That Stoll going down for you, and the attackers win it for Exile to grab Helio.
That is not what you want. Redux Rising, the only round they've won so far is when they were immediately disadvantage. And I think one factor that might have flown under the radar, and something that INC are definitely thanking their lucky stars for, is that their map pick was second in series. So they know what to expect. Their strategy is definitely prepared. Why would you play a map if you're not prepared to, have everything good to go and dry run, all of that? But the important factor that I'm hitting at here is INC know how to play Clubhouse, and that gives them time to figure out what the reduced version of that will be, because they understand that they will fight every single round immediately at a 4v5, and it's not always something you think about. I've never had, that situation where you're talking to your coach and you say, we're going to fight every round essentially as the opening pick going to our opponent, so how are we going to get it done? And learning what INC are doing for that would be something great to know for the interview. I think that's a crucial question to hit at. But for Redux Rising, who are playing on their opponent's map pick and having lost 2 rounds in a row now with an immediate advantage, this is not something that you want to let continue to run, because INC, for a typical 5v5 Clubhouse, already have the 2 rounds needed for that economics. And if they get a third, we'll have to see the basement come out again, unless Redux are crazy and they want to play stock. That is big.
Right, and we've already seen the basement play. It's a very dirty play for Redux. That they don't have very great luck with it. And specifically speaking of the basement play, kind of going back to that, it's really surprising to me how Ink played and Redux played, and for Ink to win on all that. Now, what I mean by that is they played a pretty standard push. I mean, you saw the pressure from Dirt, you saw the pressure from Kitchen. I mean, it's nothing out of an ordinary, relatively ranked play. If you want to, put it into its biggest simplicity, essentially, they got bested by an easy strategy to be, an easy strategy to outplay in a 4v5 situation. To me, that's a little bit confusing. I mean, of course there are other factors at play, but let's hope this round plays out a little bit different. We know the first time that Redux tried their hand at this, they had great success, but who knows? We'll have to see how this goes out.
Exile?
Stole. Yeah, Stole?
What? What an angle from Exile, and Bone jumps in. What? He leaps in the window to confirm Exile's kill. Talk about being ballsy, and now Navozo will tag on for a second. INC are running away, and what is happening from Redux to allow this? Here comes Exile. He's flying into sight. Bone, a sliver goes into his heel. Now as he pushes in, he finds Mute, but the corner shot from Helio, that impact player which we saw have so much effect. Now Bone is down, but Kojin, he will begin the plant. The coverage might not be there from Navozo. Hard to say just yet. The Jaeger turns the corner. Kojin confirms the kill, and Mouse to rush up the red stairs. He'll have to deny this now as INC find themselves in the advantage. With proper coverage, this will be an easy closeout. Kojin once more bails off the diffuser. Mouse hits a great wallbang and spotting the Maverick. Mouse! Oh my word, what a clutch and what a sporadic series of events in round 4.
They almost gave that round away to the attack. That was almost the most tragic, absolutely disheartening loss that they could have taken. I mean, that was an amazing clutch to shut down Inc. to prevent that momentum from going any further. Inc. saw the opportunity. They knew that they could find their way into the objective. Even from the first kill, from Stole going down, they knew that the aggression was there and that they could pick it off. But I think I definitely think that there is a lot more to that narrative, and that I mean it's just simple refrags, I guess. There's a lot of factors that go into that round. It's just a rush strategy gone bad. It was back and forth, and some picks were made, some picks were. It was chaos. It's absolute chaos is what it was in the end.
If you're Stole, how do you call that out? Zofia just jumped in the window? Like, what a crazy circumstance. And it's definitely good for Redux to have won that round because the mistakes factor comes into effect. If you had lost that round off of such a stupendous attack from INC, you would be dreadful. And you're saying to yourself, how do we keep losing 4v5 rounds when INC are playing such a weird game of Siege? Luckily for them, they'll tie it up, they'll stem the bleeding for now, and at least make this an even game. INC, this is a credit to them. I think we actually saw a game during the qualifiers where INC played at a 4v5. They had lost Kojin, though. So, not the same circumstance. Kojin is kind of a tank. He's a player that you can count on. I mentioned this when we were talking before the stream even started. You can count on him to get things done, and that's great to have in a player when you're fighting from a 4v5. Exile looking for yet another entry. He may get lucky as Redux Rising tempt their fate, returning down to the basement bomb site. Played twice with no success so far.
Right, and it once again is the same exact strategy. It's the same exact way that they're playing it. They're taking their hand at kitchen, they're attempting the dirt tunnel. It's everything. There's no real difference with it. And I'm glad that they've been able to work it correctly, but there has to be a wall that they hit eventually. Redux has to understand that, I mean, their strategy is the same exact thing they're playing. They're just able to outplay a 4v5 situation. I just don't. There's something about this that it seems like Redux is missing. Some type of factor that they're not considering. That gets them bested every single time. Now, of course, we've seen indirect play coming out from the objective, attempting to shut down the pressure mounting in dirt tunnel. We already have a 3v5 though. Stole's gonna pick off Navozo for the first frag of the round. That's pretty big, although Habana has already played out her use. 2v5. Exile goes down as well. Might be seeing an easy round win for Redux if they can play this out correctly. We still have the Maverick and the Zofia left on the board. Kojin's gonna take out one though. That's a frag for you. And Bone, he's also left on the board. He picks off one. He's got the diffuser in his hand now. Helio off at Kojin, takes up damage trying to peek from dirt. Will he be successful in his attempt? We're gonna have to see.
Redux, they've got to stop peeking here because another frag is just a little bit more of a chance for INC to fight back. They've already fought from a 2v5, which seems impossible, but maybe INC have something else to say. And Kojin now takes out Mouse. Stoll, though, in denying the plant, will rush through the site, and he hits a whopper of a headshot on a Kojin. With two big shots coming out of the SMG-11 there. To deny the plant was huge, and Redux Rising will fight their way up to 3. They take this next one. Closing it out seems a little bit more possible. INC, that mass amount of momentum, winning those rounds in style, seems to have fallen away in favor of Redux Rising, who seem now to understand that whoever gets that opening kill have the advantage. And in rounds where INC fight it back to 4v4, it seems like it's almost a guarantee that they will move and find victory.
Definitely, even with a man down.
Attackers need to locate and
That's definitely something to be said about their team. But we're gonna be moving on to some fresh site circumstances here. It's going to be gym and bedroom. We're gonna see a castle being pulled out for the first time, and very logical pick, right? I mean, he's huge for soaking up the utility of the attack, especially with Ink being down that player. Bone and Exile, they're gonna be hard pressed to have to take out those castle windows if they choose to. Other than that, they're gonna have to find their way around, maybe move through construction, maybe take a chance at hitting out the jacuzzi wall. There's a plethora, honestly, of ways that they could approach this objective, and I'm honestly excited to cast this specific. This is probably my favorite objective to cast because I mean there's a lot of different ways that you can hit this. There's a lot of rooms surrounding this, and there's a lot of ways that the defenders could even hit this. I mean, it seems like they're playing out the SSG strategy, if I'm correct. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is correct.
I don't know if it was SSG that coined this hold, the cache extension specifically. It's definitely a prevalent strategy, and maybe that's SSG just being really good at Clubhouse, and so all of the best strategies came from them. INC will attempt to go for a split push here, which could be a gamble. It could be successful. All has to do with that opening pick. Helio has been given free roam, essentially, to lurk downstairs. You can see him rotating up just now from blue. He may look for some impact, but Bone is prepared for that eventuality. Looking down to the bottom of the staircase, just ready for a possible swing. It seems some explosives are detonated. Hard to say if that's from over the wall. And two of the ex-Kairos pellets of Novozo, I think, actually glanced off of the server rack. So a bit of missed utility there will punish them further, but Kojin gets the equalizer. Now as he takes out Stoll, we'll see the rest of INC close in on the objective. At an even footing, now anything is possible. Control of cache has been forfeit, and the roam rotates back. With Redux Rising, only 3 on site, INC can move now and establish control.
So bad, it seems like Stoll keeps on being the first frag down, that poor man. He doesn't get any playtime. It's hard for him to spawn, and I feel bad for him. But a 3v4 already, we're going to see a lot of chaos going down. Not even on the objective at this point. Kojin, he goes down, but he gets revived in the end. We're going to see Helio, he's moving in, he picks up one, he picks up the next. That's a double kill, and the diffuser is in his possession. Wow, that is absolutely huge. That's a turning point for this round, because not only do they have the diffuser in hand, but now it's any man's game. I mean, 2v2. It's been equalized thus far. Going back and forth. Novozo and Bone. It's going to be Novozo taking heavy damage, but in the end, Helio goes down. It's all up to Miracle. He's got less than half health, about 25. He's sitting in the bathroom and he gets bested by Navozo with that tiny little SMG.
That is nowhere you want to be. Now, INC got 3 rounds. I mean, maybe that's kind of just searching for things to say about this, but INC, they fought and they made it equal, even attacking and being on disadvantage. Now, we have to see them start off strong on their defense, and it's already looking better than what we saw on that very first map where INC just blasted through their defenses. Redux have significant struggles, and now we get INC who can play it safe. From this opening composition, the Smoke, Melusi, and Cade indicate that we'll see that kind of anchor turtle meta. You've got the Jaeger as well, an opportunity to go aggressive, but the opening frag meant a lot when we were attacking. It also is important here now for the second split, because a full-strength Redux Rising is one that can better establish pressure on all fronts of the objective, and they don't have to worry about what INC oriented themselves around so much of. In getting that opening frag, searching for someone that they could take down. They can fight here and now and simply work off of the fact that they have more men to spread around the playing field. INC have less bases that they can cover. Even then, though, we may see an attempt at a roam from Bone, the impact player. That's what we know him for his 21 kill game on Villa for the space of 12 rounds back in ESA. He might be able to do it here again, but that'll be the real tale that we have to tell here for this first round of the second split.
Back to the round count specifically, I like to say a thing about Clubhouse. You know, your objective is to get it 4-2, especially being down a player. The objective is to get it 4-2. If you can get it better than that, great. If you can get it equalized 3-3, you know you're a good team. You know you're a consistent team. You're making great plays. I mean, you're not doing anything wrong, because it seems to me that Clubhouse is very polarized. It's very defense-sided, and it's easy for the defenders to get good momentum going in their defense rounds and take it to the attack rounds and shut it out. But so far, it doesn't seem like that's a circumstance we're gonna come up upon.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
Inc, yeah, I just saw that. Inc, moving on to their defense rounds from their attack round, seems to be starting off strong. And like you said, the equalizer, that's the first frag of the round going off from a nitro. Unfortunate. Mouse is gonna go down. That's your sledge. That's huge for soft breach. Stole's gonna take a lot of damage though. Already on bottom floor. Let's see how this plays out.
Still something to concern yourself with. Opposite to what happened on that previous split, where INC were constantly trying to put themselves at the 4v4, Redux are still effectively equal and now taking advantage. Stole, having pushed up already to the church wall, catches out the smoke on the proning. Jaeger, or rather Melusi of Navozo, holding long, looking for Helio. Already on low HP, he's quite vulnerable. A push from Exile manages nothing. Forced back, taking punishment, and forced to hold this more passively. Change that, though, as now he guns down Helio. With Stole down, the disadvantage becomes even more evident, but Miracle comes up big, getting the multi-kill. His teammate down now in the 1v2. Little does Nevo know the opportunity presents itself, and he rotates. They seem to know this now. The diffuser will have to be recovered, but the rest of the attackers are dead set on their push in from Moto. Navozo rounds the corner. He gets the first onto the Maverick. The Stole player, or the player of Stole, actually rotating over to the double door, looking for an opportunity, pushes into Church. Nevo continues to bait the time low. He knows that it's his most significant advantage. Wrapping around the corner, the pre-fire gets nothing, and Stole wins the day. Redux Rising take the very first round of the second half.
You know, I said Stole didn't get any playtime. The other round, Stole didn't get any playtime, and now look at him. I mean, he made an absolutely amazing clutch by the end. 1v1 situation, palms sweaty, you know he was gripping his mouse, trying his best, and he did it. He won it for his team. He got it to a 3-4 scoreline in their first attacking round, may I add, which is great for their mentality, great for moving into, obviously, regardless, an advantage position. I mean, there's not a lot to say about that round other than the fact that they played it so well. I mean, they got to bottom floor pretty quickly. I'm happy for that. They're setting up the pace for themselves pretty um advantageously. And essentially, I mean, they played it from there. They played it by ear. They attempted to shut down any aggression from the defense, and while it was chaotic for, especially surrounding Church for quite a lot of the round, they held it down. They kept a level head.
I think what we saw in that round when it was lost for INC was as soon as Redux managed to establish a strong beachhead down bottom main as well as inside of Moto in the Church Hall, were that not to have happened, things might have gone differently.
Agreed.
It's seemingly going to be a rehost though. Thankfully, INC will move back into a 5v5, and good from them to have fought hard through that first split. Now, fighting back, they have the bank of rounds, that cushion. Maybe it's not there, but they're not at too much of a disadvantage to still make this a winnable game.
Right, you
Okay,
are.
I'm unmuted now, and we are back, but in a similar vein that I'm back, it seems as if Yusuke will finally be rejoining his team due to his internet issues being resolved. And I'm sure both of you guys are very happy. Casting a 4v5 gets a little bit stale. It's not to the highest level of competitive integrity that we want at SCS, as well as within the game as casters, observers, production, players. Nobody really wants to see that. But I have to just applaud Inc for being able to take multiple rounds at the man disadvantage at the start of every single time. You guys broke it down beautifully, but what do you think was the definitive factor for the way that Inc was able to overcome that advantage?
You want to take the floor on this one?
You go for it. The floor is yours.
The floor is mine. I think that Redux became overconfident on a lot of their defenses. They became very aggressive and maybe not so level-headed as maybe they thought they were, and Inc just took advantage of it. I mean, in a 4v5 situation, you are at, in a way, an advantaged position with your mentality, meaning that, like, you can take advantage of the fact that the other team might become overconfident and might think, oh, we're at a 4v5, we can win this, we can, swing on angles, we can easily take these, tiny little firefights, and then it turns into this big thing. I think that's what a lot of rounds were about. It was, getting an inch and running with it. I mean, just having an inch and taking it to the mile.
I think that was very well said, just to the fact that Inc would get a little bit of a gap, a little bit of a spot for them where they found a hole for them to exploit, and then they were able to just go in with their aggression. Overall, Redux didn't play bad. They're winning for a certain reason. You have to try to think about the areas of, would Inc be winning right now if they had all 5 people? Maybe, but the dynamic overall as the entire game has completely changed. But with that being said, we only have about 30 seconds left until everybody's in the lobby. I think ours are going out. So we'll go and transition back in whenever everybody is ready. But I'm sure as much as you guys are excited for this to actually be a 5v5 and actually be really competitive and see what Inc has on their defense, I'm sure the players are just as much so.
Yeah, one thing that I mentioned when we were talking about it is the fact that immediately you're fighting at that disadvantage. That goes without saying, but it is, I think, most prevalent when you talk about the dispersal of your manpower, right? Because you need to go for a dynamic push. The most successful teams in Siege are those that play dynamically and that they attack from multiple angles. They're not so focused on one angle of attack. We see that. That's kind of the ranked mentality. You find the door, the wall that you want to getting ready, going in. Teams that coordinate well and teams that, have that chemistry, are prepared in their attacks. They understand that. And INC did that already at a disadvantage pretty well. but it's not something you need to worry about all too much on the defense, which generally you're going to go for a full roam or you're going to play kind of a semi-roam. There's not a lot of strategies that really involve a full 5-stack utility, kind of like stack up everywhere on Clubhouse, because attackers understand that, and they know that we apply the vertical pressure, we do X, Y, and Z, the typical stuff, and that tends to give you the most success rate.
Right, if I were to play the devil's advocate on your statement, you said that they're a very dynamic team and they, you know, they switch it up, they have that duality where they can push from 2 different angles and still see results. And I think you're right in some of your assumptions, but I also think that they played very predictably after a few rounds. And what I specifically mean by that is they just kept on playing the same strategy and it kept on working, it kept on having that shelf life that you don't normally see with those strategies. I mean, you have to switch it up at some point, and honestly, Inc did not need to switch it up. So in that way, they weren't necessarily dynamic, but I also think that they did have that great success when they pushed 2 different spots and when they were able to, you know, pick off the lone defender or get the first frag, get the equalizer.
Well, talking about being dynamic, here's a joke for you. This is the 3rd time we'll be seeing the basement played consecutively. No other bomb site exists. It's only the basement, and that's the mentality of INC. I do get that, you know, you played it once, it didn't work, it was kind of close. The second time was mostly the same result, so now you're playing it again because you've got your full 5, and INC feel confident that they can take it here and now. And here's something that we didn't get too much of an opportunity to take a look at, and it's the impact trade.
It is, and it's also I believe it's the Kaede being played. I mean, Yusuke obviously being on the board now. I'm not sure if Kaede was played before, but I mean, I'm pretty sure that him obviously being on the board for the defense is absolutely monumental. I mean, it's going to prove a much bigger, as I say that, the reinforcement gets taken out, but it's going to prove to be a bit of a bigger challenge. They're going to have to throw more utility into the ring in order to take out those, you know, those big reinforcements. Like Church specifically is going to be huge. Of course, they've taken out the hatch, but what are they going to do now? They still need to get farther. They need to keep on pushing. So far, you know, they're keeping up the pace. They're doing well, but they need to keep this going. As I say that, though, Yusuke goes down to the hands of a grenade. He is down technically, but not out.
He'll be alive, belated, for a little bit longer. Thankfully for the Cade, the nitro, or the second frag grenade we saw, didn't confirm him. So he's still languishing there on the floor. They've got the ping. They must know he's there, but no more gas, and it looks like Yusuke will survive it. You just needed a little hole, and that could have been a freebie, but he will survive. Maybe not, though, as you see the lifeline prepared over the wall. Kojin falls. Still, Yusuke is alive, but not for much longer. He will soon bleed out without anyone to pick him up. Nevo, guns down, Stole. That's an equal man count, but not for long. Finally, Yusuke is confirmed. That grenade taking its sweet time. Helio tries to go for it. You've got the Sledge, who magically appears inside of E-Box, traded out swiftly. Now Maverick will find a frag onto Exile, and that's over quick. Maverick gets another one, and Redux Rising take round number 8, so perhaps the 5v5 didn't matter all too much.
Right, and perhaps it is also time for Inc to switch up their bomb site. Potentially, I think that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's time for them to make a bit of a switch here. Obviously, what they're doing right now, objectively, is not working, and I think they could definitely benefit from them switching. Of course, they choose Gym Bedroom, which is an interesting take instead of going CC. Right now, 3-5 being the scoreline, they are technically 1 point off from being in match point. That is a very dangerous all or nothing phase, which me and my other co-caster like to say. When you are in our all or nothing phase, basically you you are so far down that it is such a steep hill to climb, and it can be really hard to climb up it. You know, the mentality, and on top of that, just the physical point standing makes it such a hard feat to make to get back. But of course, I wouldn't count them out. Inc has shown us some really good plays, some great round wins, and who knows? I mean, they might be able to close this out, might be able to equalize it, and get themselves another win for tonight.
Well, Nevo may not like me for quoting him here if this goes another 2 rounds for Redux, but he says, we have many strengths, and I'm not sure if I could say which is the greatest, but I think our most unique strength is our ability to bounce back. We can be down by multiple rounds, a map, or lose a few rounds in a row, and still be able to get back in the game and end up winning. So sitting here at the 3v5, I think INC, it's time to initiate that comeback superpower.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see how that we're gonna have to see how that account works out for Mr. Nevo. But 3-5 scoreline as we move into our next round. We're gonna be seeing the extended hold from the defense here coming out from INC. It seems like there is a lone Malusi sitting in construction, attempting to aid the pushback from the defense, but she doesn't seem to be getting pushed back as much as possible. There's a lot of utility there's a lot of utility going into this, into the construction push specifically, but it seems like the defenders are beginning to back down. Mouse is going to take out Yusuke, the Malusi, and that leaves open, I believe, construction entirely for the attackers to take. Kojin, he's going to get taken out though, this time by the window play. That's big. That's a factor that you love to see. But Exile, he's going to get taken out simultaneously as well. That is a down, but not outstate. Once again, will this be a double kill? However, he's going to pre-fire and he's going to grab it. Stole with a double kill. It's already a 1v5 situation. Nevo, he's going to get ended off for a flawless round from Redux. This puts us into our match point.
That's not how you want this to go. And now, thankfully for Redux, taking match point, this guarantees them at least some points from this win if it should go to overtime and INC win after regulation. Securing this OT works in 2 ways. Obviously, now it makes sure that INC don't get the full 6 to leap forth and push even deeper. They've already guaranteed themselves at least that initial map win. Fighting the comeback seems increasingly more difficult now as you sit 3-6. Redux Rising have proved to themselves that they can beat INC at a 4v5 and at a 5v5. Now as we fight from equal footing, it seems that just didn't matter all too much. And INC, maybe Clubhouse would have went differently if they had been fighting from an equal stance the whole time. Maybe it was the tempo change that has set them aground, in that they are now understanding that they don't have to worry about getting that opening engagement too much. And maybe it's that that kind of confidence, that cockiness factor that you mentioned, that they are not so worried about grinding it out to find that refrag.
Gonna go out on a limb here and say that Yusuke is the bad luck charm. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that he's been bringing them nothing but losses. It's been no good. They actually, since the rehost, it appears that they have not won a single round. It's been Redux, or yeah, they haven't, because it was a 3-3, right?
Nothing in the second half entirely.
Nothing entirely. Wow, that's actually big for Redux and their momentum. Let's hope that they can keep it up and close out this match 7-3. A very similar proceeding to Oregon, which was a 7-2. It's funny how the change of map can switch up every single bit of a team's advantage. It's honestly polarizing. But 5-4 already. Miles is going to be our first pick off of the board, and a second one to add up. Stole. He's not going to be able to play this round out. Not anymore. But, I mean, it's still... I mean, Inc. having the ability to pull this back. They might just be able to do it. And that's another death for Redux. Helio going down. It's up to Burnt Turkey and Miracle to finish out this round. They don't have the diffuser in hand. They're just trying to play off of intel. They still have 2 minutes left on the clock, though. An unfortunate feat for them. 2 minutes down.
Attackers
And
recovered the bomb
already, there's 3 people off the board for them.
It is a very difficult task. Now, in the 2v5, you'll have to push even further, and Redux don't have the proper intel to execute a competent attack. You'll see them use one of the lifeline concussions down into secret, making sure that no one on the flank is still over there. Wow, talk about aggression. Kojin will leap out the window as he looks for a target, though finding nothing. Both attackers still remain at full strength, and we'll see Redux Rising fight their hardest here and now to close it out and take a 7-3 dueling in similarity to what we saw for that very first map. Yusuke, though, guns down Burnt Turkey, and the onus is on Miracle to clutch up, but it's a flawless round for INC, and that's a definite tempo changer.
I mean, there's not much to analyze by the end of the round. It was simply that each attacker got cornered off in their own way. Obviously, one attacker, I mean, he took the swing. Burnt Turkey took the swing and was not successful in that, leaving Miracle to get picked off. But it's unfortunate because they had already lost by the time that they had those 3 men down. They had already lost the game, or the round specifically, and it shut down their momentum. I feel so bad because they could have had such a great round. They could have won that out, putting us at a 7-3 scoreline. But now Inc, they redeemed themselves for yet another round going into 4-6. So they're only really 2 rounds away, and they're on their defense round. So that puts them already at an inherent advantage. Let's hope they can keep this up and move us into overtime. That'll be an interesting sight to see, hey?
Curious decision to return to the basement for the 4th time now, having not won at all.
They're making their rounds, you know what? Don't knock it till you try it, okay?
At this point, I've almost forgotten what a CCTV defense feels like.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, they really hate, they must hate CCTV.
5 seconds remaining.
They really must hate CCTV. I feel bad. I do. Why do they hate it? I don't know.
It's cursed. You cannot go there. It doesn't exist. It is gone.
It's a cursed room.
It is. And that I hope INC playing their different style now. They've changed from playing on the objective, waiting for Redux to come fight them, to trying to lurk on the fringe and looking for an opportunity. It worked out well in that previous round. In fact, we saw nothing for Redux, not a single frag to be seen. But perhaps this is the previous round was the turning point, and this is the confirmation of that. It's a difficult question to ask yourself. We'll see drones come through. Redux Rising are taking this a lot more slowly. They understand that INC are looking for an advantage anywhere they can find it, and INC, with the way they doubled down in that previous round, Redux do not want to set on that same path. Exile still lurks below the hatch, looking for his opportunity to impact. Burnt Turkey expends one of his lifelines, and that actually will concuss Bone, who rotates behind the E-box itself. But the time waste here for INC looks good. Can they close it out is still something we'll need to answer.
Definitely. I think that you're correct in the assessment, right? There's a lot of time wasting going on here. I mean, you got 1:30 left on the clock, and you only have 1 hatch off. And of course, I mean, on its way to 2 hatches, but still, it's a very shaky start to the round. You know that they're trying to close this out. So yeah, they are playing a little bit more cautiously, but will it cost them? Will it cost them that time, that effort, those resources? I mean, Redux is known as being an aggressive team, a team that hits really hard. So you just have to wonder, will they be able to successfully move into the objective and make the plays that they need to play, even when they're playing cautious? Now, first kill of the round at about a minute on the round. Stole going down to the hands of that wonderful shotgun of Kaid, the Yusuke shotgun.
bomb has been
Use
located.
or mouse is gonna be sledging his way through. He takes down one Kojin though. He's gonna take burnt turkey off of our board. That is Sophia and Ash, huge for utility and entry fragging, which is something that we haven't seen a lot of this round. 3v4 right now. We're gonna see another potential play here.
Bit of damage dealt here to Helio. He's not gonna want to continue on that same path. We'll see Yusuke collects Bone as well, and now Helio is spraying like mad into the bomb site. He might try to rush in here, but it should be all for naught. Yusuke may be low, the same for Navozo, but Bone wraps the corner, and he's fully healed, and he gets his shot off. And now we'll see INC move within range. Their grasp has reached thus far, and they stand within one round of pushing us into overtime. Redux Rising, they had a good streak going for them, but it's not really materializing into enough force to push them across the line, and that's the worry here. Redux are playing on their opponent's map. INC have once more found their groove, and they're looking to make sure they can lock out a possible win here now in OT, but only 2 points up for grabs should INC move into round number 13. Redux Rising still have the opportunity to fight back and to toss 3 onto the scoreboard. Should they win this here and now, sending it to OT, unfortunately, would tarnish their so far
Defenders,
flawless
protect your
record.
bombs from being defused by attackers.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Now we're gonna be moving on, finally, to CCTV. Something that I think as casters we've been hoping to see from Inc. They're gonna be trying their hand here at it. And speaking of trying your hand at something new, we saw that Redux tried playing cautiously last round. I wanted to touch on that. I said something about it previously, but it didn't necessarily work out for them. It was more so they were rushed towards the end, and I feel like for that reason, it wasn't really quality. It was more, taking the numbers and trying to, move them around as quick as possible by the end. They tried to get a foothold in very good power play positions, but it wasn't working out for them. It just kind of seemed lackluster, and for that, Inc. took advantage of it, and they ran with it, leaving us to a 5-6 score line. But let's get into this round, shall we? We see that there might be a potential duality to our push coming from the west side of Stoll as well as the east side of CCTV with most of our hard breaching powers. And I'm excited. I'm honestly intrigued to see how this is going to end up. We normally see this type of two-sided push coming from any type of clubhouse strategy going towards CCTV. It's just the matter of how well can you play it out, how much territory can you earn yourself, and how many kills can you get in between.
Slow and steady from the Maverick. Seems he missed a couple pieces here.
Oh boy.
No, you don't want to get into that danger zone, picking and choosing, trying to figure out which pieces of the wall are still remaining. And Miracle, not going to make a pun. He escapes without any damage. No one from INC tries to swing the wall. No sudden nitro cells appearing near the Maverick torch, and nothing at all as far as damage done onto Redux, except for maybe some utility. It's a miracle. But
I couldn't help myself. I could not. It's a miracle.
okay, Jenna. Okay. Kojin is in need of a stim pack here, sitting at 20. Can I get a range check? I don't know what it's on. 25. Bone guns down burnt turkey. Helio, though, he is still making his impact as the newest player, the fresh face, and key fragger here on the Ash roll. Or the, I just totally butchered that. The Habana roll. That's where he is. But there's only so little time here for Redux. Not a commodity that is all too plenty on a CCTV attack, and they'll want to try and preserve what little of it they have left in this attack. The fact that Kojin remains alive is a constant worry. Those gas canisters in his pocket should serve as 10 seconds off the clock each. INC are looking for an opportunity. The Claymore is shot and Bones. The head jumping in from the window, though. Now Stoll lines up for the hallways, though misses opportunity on the low health Kojin. Yusuke will fall as well. Helio, his impact continues to go on with 25 seconds. Now the time in your ear becomes even more evident. You'll need to get this plant down sooner rather than later. Though we'll see Bone fall and the plant itself will begin. Kojin, what can he do to deny it with no gas canisters left here? He's looking for something, but the post plant begins. And now Redux Rising have the opportunity to fall back. Kojin, having been on low health for so long, is in no position to fight this clutch, and the standings, the impact that this clutch will have means so much. To fight further for INC, this is all you've got, but a drone relays the intel. 22 seconds left, and Helio will catch it. The fresh face, the new recruit, he proves himself to be as impactful as any veteran in locking out this map.
I think that round was the definition of wrong place, wrong time. I mean, you see that the two defenders that were left on the board once the attack was able to get in the objective were all the way in garage. They were way off the objective. It's almost like they got blindsided by the attack just aimlessly walking into the objective. I mean, of course, they hit big with it. They definitely hit big. I was getting a little bit concerned there because the attack seemed to be stalling out a little bit for around like 10 to 20 seconds. Seemed like that might have been, you know, the 20-second meta happening all over again, and it could have been Ink to preserve another round for themselves. But I'm glad in the end that Redux was able to shut us down.
Yeah, so I guess all of our prediction was technically wrong. I think one single person by the name of Marvin, Mr. Santos himself, I think he went with the tie. I think he predicted the tie correctly. I think he's one of the only people to do so. But I do believe as well that we have some interviews coming up. I think we have one for each of the teams, so quick 2 minutes coming out on both of them. I think we'll have Dash from Inc. He's always present there. We will have Dash coming in as well as
not
Miracle.
After I called him the analyst.
Yeah, and then we have Miracle coming from Redux Rising. I don't necessarily know the order, but as soon as those graphics do get made up, oh, it's not Dash. You got saved. It's Exile. It's Michael coming in.
Thankfully.
Onto the side of InControl, and he will be.
I don't get roasted
first.
live on broadcast today.
You know, I guess you could say it's a miracle that we are gonna hear Miracle.
Vibe. Oh, hey.
Hello.
Vibe.
You got it into my head and I can't stop saying it now. Now I'm gonna make a pun out of it every single time I hear that name.
But welcome, Exile. How are you doing today, my good sir?
Doing pretty good. How are you, Connor?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. You know, we got these other two casters that got to watch your really great game. I guess we'll start off on Oregon because that's the natural starting point. We got map 1 stick. If you want to go ahead and just take it away, because I'm sure your head is bumbling with a plethora of questions.
Sure, I've got a really easy one. When you had the nitro cell in your hand, sitting in elbow behind that shield, did you have any idea the multi-kill that was soon to follow?
I knew I downed one like earlier because I heard shuffling.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got full white, I had the C4 in hand because I remember like we have a Malusi there, like a Banshee. So once I heard that go off, I kind of just threw it, and then I got the kill.
That's actually a really smart play. I didn't think about that, the sound cue that you would get from the Banshee. I like that. Okay.
It was really hard to hear because I had a ringing noise from the flash, but
yeah,
still
because
got it
there was
off.
so much, just everything exploding around you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about Oregon. You guys play really well on the defense, even though it was a 4-2 and Redux looked close in some rounds. How did you go about closing that out in the second half? Because switching over to Oregon, you kind of need to be prepared in your attacks in order to find a lot of success.
Do you mean switching to club or like staying on Oregon? When you say switching to
on Oregon, moving into the attack half.
Oh, okay. I mean, our defenses, like, we kind of, it's weird to say, but like, we just like knew we were winning most of the defense, like, because both rounds we lost came down to just like minor mistakes from us, and we're like, okay, we don't make those mistakes on attack, then we win. And I personally think we only made like one mistake on attack, and I think it was when they were, kids, and I got picked from the Malusi walking down white, and we didn't get that refrag, but we ended up winning because Nevo's just nuts. I mean,
yeah,
like, that was really it.
No truer statement than that.
Yeah.
He wins. Another thing that I wanted to ask, we saw both when it was you guys attacking as well as Redux. All of the dorms attacks were largely focused on kind of a split white and big window take. What was the thought behind that? Because from my point of view, it seems like a lot of those takes are really inconsistent and frankly kind of weak.
Yeah, with those attacks, like especially a big window white take, the vert control that you need to have and like getting people under them is just key. And then you need to have someone holding flanks as you're doing that. Like the only way you're gonna win that is if like you have a sledge like nading from below, or you got a buck or a Zoe or an Ash just going below and like tearing up the floor. So that's why I was so surprised when we won that round, because we had no like vert control going on. We just walked up the stairs and killed them. But yeah, like those are risky if you don't play it right, and we didn't really play that round right, but most of the time we do. So it was just a little toss on our part.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we actually are almost out of time. We're just trying to do 2 interviews and cram them back in. So Michael, do you have any last second shout outs, any social media, any other players you want to just do quick wrap up?
Shout out InControl always, really good org. Shout out their tweet last night. That was a banger. If you guys didn't see it, you should go to their org. Shout out the boys over on the team. On the roster, you got Yusuke, Nevo, Kojin, and Bone. Especially exclamation point Bone in the chat if you didn't know, but yeah, that's really it. Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much, as I'm sure everybody at home also enjoyed that interview. It's always a great opportunity to look in behind the scenes, what was happening, seeing, because we weren't in their calls, seeing what was happening, and really trying to get a better understanding of the content that you just consumed. But now we're just waiting on our second interview. It is going to be Miracle from Redux Rising as we switch over that graphic. Welcome, Miracle. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right.
Alrighty, so Jenna, we gave Stick the last interview, so this one's all yours.
Oh wow, guys, you guys are putting me on the spot. Oh my lord. Okay. All right. Well, I only have one kind of big map specific question for you, and I think that is on Clubhouse. Clubhouse was an interesting game for you guys. It was a 4v5 for the first half of the game. It came down to be a 3-3. Now, you guys, I mean, you brought it back absolutely by the second half of the game. It was amazing from you, and I just want to know, what was the mentality of that? What was going through your head? 3-3. We're going on to our attack rounds. Basically, everything is against us right now.
Yeah, well, 4v5s are pretty awful for both sides, just because the 4 players get like superpowers or something, and like the other 5 people just have like terrible mentality the whole time, just because like it's a lose-lose situation. Either you win and people say you're awful for winning a 4v5, or you lose in a 4v5 and then you're considered awful still. So mentality just drained a bit, but still we able to come back, I guess. But I don't know, it's 4v5 anyway. It's unlucky.
Yeah, and if that's all Jenna has to say, Stig, do you have any major pressing questions you want to go towards the Redux Rising squad?
None that come immediately to mind. It was weird though that you guys, I like kind of the superpower aspect, because that's exactly what it seemed like. INC played so well when they were on a 4v5, and then they side swapped and things got really awkward. I wanted to get your point of view on the basement, because we saw it played so much for that second split. How did them continuously repeating the objective affect your performance?
That was like a kind of a mentality breaker. We kind of went for like a similar setup every time, and we thought it was just like little misplays, but they just had superpowers. I don't know. Those guys are really good, and we just got a new guy on, so we're a little bit fresh too, I guess. So.
Sure. I wanted to ask, what major changes have come to your playstyle now that you introduce Helio?
Well, I'd say he's brought a little bit more structure to the team than Trix did. Trix is kind of like superhuman with his aim and mechanics, but Helio's a little bit more strategic and tactical about it. So, but
it seemed like a lot of the kills we saw from Helio were really impactful. He only went aggressive, went for those kind of hero plays a few times. When he did, they were really measured, and I think all of them largely were successful. Before I let you go, one final question for the very first round. It was an extreme roam, a T3 hold on a Dorm's defense. What happened in that round? Because you guys really struggled, and the time waste, I think, was a big contributor.
Yeah. So, just miscommunication on the droning, and it got us picked, and then the whole like attic side kind of like fell apart, and we just couldn't adapt to it. It was just a bad play on our part.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and give you back to Connor. I guess you can give your spiel, your shout out if there's anyone.
Oh, we didn't have our hype man for this game. I'll say that's probably why we lost map 1, but next time we'll have him and show you guys what's up. I don't know.
Alrighty, and with that, that's our interview process here. We got a little bit of a sneak peek behind the scene of both teams because, after all, if you win a map, you get rewarded with an interview, a chance to show off and talk to the rest of the teams. But with that, that is the conclusion of our first series. So we're going to have to say goodbye to Stick as well as Giraffero. You guys were both absolutely wonderful, and a pleasure to hear you guys cast, and I'm sure you guys enjoyed yourself just as well. Any of you, any social medias or anything that you would guys like to plug?
Yes, at Stipula on Twitter. That's the big one.
Yeah, at Giraffero, Giraffero for people who don't know how to spell.
Yes.
Some people don't.
It's there on the screen for all of you Twitter maniacs. But yeah, it was a really fun cast. I enjoyed it. INC versus Redux, obviously one of the top 3 or 2 of the top 3 teams. It's good to see their clash, and I'm really curious to see how the playoff state will further develop as we approach the end of the regular season. But fun casting with you, Jenna, for the very first time, as well as having Connor as the Descos for the very first time. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it'll probably be the last time. I think I prefer the casting booth as opposed to the Descos.
You were wonderful, Connor.
I'm not Max. I'm not Keg. I'm not Veli. I just try to talk about the game. I think I was trying to facilitate some stuff. It's a lot harder than I thought it would be. Big shout outs to the good
yeah,
guys.
Is that the truth?
It's not as easy as just seeing Gun Go Bert in front of screen talk about Gun Going Bert. Trying to get other people to talk, it adds that little bit of social aspect into it as well. But overall, once again, you guys both did wonderful, and I think our analyst desk actually might be ready if we're going to be switching on over to that. I think we've got Pond coming in now, as well as Mistakes once again.
Oh, Mistakes is still here. Nice. Go Mistakes!
Dude, I might be here. Who knows? Honestly, mentally I'm here, or physically I'm here. Mentally, yeah, probably not.
And welcome to the analyst desk, everybody. This is Pond. You've already seen Mistakes. It seems as if Pond's lights like to match the hair that Mistakes is rocking. So, that's just how we roll at SCS. We are all just a cohesive conglomeration of people. But analyst desk, take it away. What did we see coming forward on this map?
I don't know what to say, but a 4v5 at the beginning, as you saw here from round 2. Very important. I like to point out how this round InControl won in a 4v5. Usually in 4v5s, you tend to win it out. It's not really that difficult since they're man down. But how InControl won it, it actually amazes me. And that got momentum going. I mean, it didn't help them win the map, but it was sure fun to watch that.
Yeah, I guess I kind of want to hop in and say, like, there was a huge difference between 4v5 and 5v5, but I gotta say 4v5 InControl Nation was, man, how do I put this? For any of the sports fans out there, that's like watching the Bubble Suns, an absolute dominant performance by them. I mean, they got to play, I don't want to say careless, but they definitely played incredibly aggressive. I mean, Navozo was a force to be reckoned with. Bone playing with the LMG on Zofia, like an absolute animal that he is, and Exile just playing as the entry fragger, brain off, aim on. But Redux Rising, I mean, they played a 4v5 against arguably one of the other teams up there on top. I mean, Redux Rising and Lycus Nation, two very powerful teams. And InControl, I will have a lot of difficulty against them. And the fact that they held up against a team like Redux Rising with Stole, Burnt Turkey, Mouse, Merkel, it was just amazing. And I think that something I did want to point out with round 2, and I believe it was round 3 that they also won attacking Church Arsenal, was getting out Mouse early, losing that Maestro. That's what actually gave them those attacker rounds. I think that was the key that they had, and playing with this sort of aggression and what's the most we could lose type confidence. It was incredible to see.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really incredible to see.
Yeah, it was really great to see. I wanted to continue the sports analogy that you said a little bit earlier. It's like playing soccer where in the first 5 minutes, one of your players just slide tackles straight from behind, gets sent with the Rojo card, and then you just kind of playing at 10 men the entire time. Having the team's energy onto the side of Inc., a testament to their strength as a roster was their ability to just fight through the position that they were in. It wasn't expected by any stretch of the imagination. We love internet service providers when Yusuke gets sent and relegated to sit on phone and use data to watch TikToks while his team was playing, where he would much rather be. But overall, Inc. did really great. Their attacks looked insanely sharp, but I don't think they were quite as sharp as Redux Rising's, as this overall was a fully attacker-sided Clubhouse.
It's not every day we get to see attacker-sided Clubhouse, but I would like to see Inc. with 5 players. I think if Inc. had their 5 players, it would have been more the attacker-sided for them, as their attacks were really good. They always got the first pick most of the time, and they were just looking very strong.
See, I agree, but also disagree. I think the fact that they were playing with 4 players, like they were playing with this type of confidence, and I mean, we already know that InControl Nation is probably the most ragtag team of like G fuel snorting monkeys that we have ever seen in T3, and the fact that they were able to play that play style to the fullest extent today because they were already down a man, so they're like, we do have strategies, but we also can just get the first pick and just get more picks and maybe plant bomb, but also get picks. Like it was, I think that they wouldn't have played the way that they had with all 5 players. And I was actually like, I was watching the game and I genuinely enjoyed the game more when they had 4 players and their play style and that confidence was just, I mean, that is a terrifying level of confidence to go up against. I mean, minus this one round that I had actually pointed out round 4 because I had thought round 4 is when they had lost a 1v1, so it shows that, like, I mean, Redux Rising came back and won this round out on like the man disadvantage, showing how good Redux Rising is, but they brought it from a 4v5 to a 2v1 in the end. It almost got the diffuser down. It was just, I mean, 4v5 in Control Nation was absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I gotta agree here. Watching it on a 4v5 was much more better because you see their confidence, their willingness to take gunfights and just to go in and press the issue here. And this round, which they won, Hilo makes a hero play and gets a double kill, putting out at a 2v2, I believe. And the other players just go into sight and just go brr and kill everyone left, winning the round, putting on a 3v3. I feel like if we see that confidence when they're at a 5v5 against their next opponent, it'll be really great for them, and I can't wait to see them later on.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to a point to cover your bases, Pond, where I know the InControl Nation players, and they would not be offended by any stretch of the imagination of you calling them G Fuel snorting players, because that's just who they are as people. They're fun-loving guys. They definitely get some caffeine going, and they love to swing. And that's exactly what they did on the map 1 of Oregon, where they were just playing out of their minds. They were hitting every shot. And then I have to think, bringing it forward, that if we did see a 5v5 attack on Inc., I think they would have gotten that 4-2 split, and then we possibly could have seen overtime coming forward. As you know, at SCS, Infinite OT could have been a really real possibility that would have been really fun to watch, but unfortunately it wasn't in the cards.
Fun's an interesting word to say about Infinite OT. Ah, my gosh, that one game, I think it was, I remember it was Emergence because Goria Gory had dropped something like 50 kills between 2 maps, and he was on like 32 kills. And I think it was another. Oh, it was actually against Redux Rising. He dropped something like 50 kills, and they had another player almost beat like the 1 map kill record because it went to something like 28 rounds of overtime. I mean, or 28 rounds total. It was a real barn burner for sure. But yeah, I mean, I think it could have gone to overtime, but I think that the way that they were playing was they were playing with this. I mean, I'll say this a million times, this insane level of confidence where it was just they were going to get those kills. I mean, you see Novozo right there, and I just gotta say right now, Control Nation, a lot of the names on your team really hard to pronounce. Yasuku, I will always mispronounce your name. Yusuke. I will always mispronounce your name, even though CDAPS just told me it. I'm gonna still say Yasoku, Yeksaku, or some random stuff like that, but it's Yusuke.
Can't wait to
I
get
think that
complaints.
they were playing with that kind of confidence. But I also think I want to take a minute to kind of say that is not to take any show away from Redux Rising. We got to see Burnt Turkey, Mouse, Miracle, and I think that's the new player Helio that just came out and like they even though it was a 4v5, they still gave it their all. And when it came back to a 5v5, they came up to the plate and finished out the game. And it's one thing to get those kills and those round wins early in the 4v5, but it's another to close out the game when it's a 5v5. And I gotta say GG's to Redux Rising, but I think this was one of the most entertaining games that I've seen in quite some time.
Yeah, same here. Probably one of the most interesting games I've seen from SCS, and I really want to see more of Inc. just expanding out. Like Oregon's a really defender side of the map, and I want to see them bring that like attacker-sided momentum to other defender-sided maps like Cafe and Clubhouse, like we saw from here. They're really good at attacking, and I want to see more of it.
Yeah, and I think that's all the time we have on the analyst desk. I think we're gonna go to a quick intermission between the games. Or we're actually just going to go straight onto the other casting desk. But thank you so much, Pond and Mistakes. You guys did wonderful on the analyst desk. And we will be back in just a little bit as we can just transition on over.
Get that transition going, CDAPS. I love you.
I'm trying. I'm trying my best as a desk host. This is not my forte.
Dude, you're doing a good job.
But with that, we're going to swap on over and welcome over